Yo, we are back. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Let me give y'all some music, man. Let's get this rolling. Man. Listen, it is now 6:58 p.m. You know what time it is. Toxic or nah, what you got for it, huh? Huh? Once a month we do this. And it's for a reason, y'all. I hope y'all can hear my music. Once a month we do this. It is Toxic or Nah. We back. What up, Javante? I see you, little homie. What's going on, man? Hope everything's good. It's me, ReZsaun, a.k.a. your host, a.k.a. Real Talk with ReZsaun. We're back to one of my vintage shirts. Shout out to Crystal. Twisted Designs. Shout out to Crystal, now Crystal Matthews. Shout out to you, now Representative Matthews. Friend of the show. Listen, man, I need y'all to share this out. We are going in. Tonight is the night. Twisted Designs. Yo, because tonight, man, it's going down. The energy is different on Toxic or Not. And we threw a little twist in this month. And we got the ladies joining us this month too. Okay. Listen, I'm ready, man. I'm ready. But are you ready? Y'all need to be sharing this out right now. Go ahead and share this out. I got my theme music on. This is the music I use when I'm going to speak publicly. This is my Get Crunk music, made by me. This is actually a ReZsaun original. Hope y'all enjoying it. I'm telling y'all tonight, it's going down, man. It's 6:59. Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Listen, I'm about to start in a second. You know, I don't even have an intro for Toxic or Not. That's crazy. I just realized that. Well, next time we do Toxic or Not, I'll have an intro. But right now, I don't have an intro. I'm giving y'all a minute or two to get in here, and I'm rolling. What's up? Tonight we talking about it, y'all. We got some real topics tonight, man. Oh, let me send them the link. I said they don't got the link. Let me send. Hey, what's in the cup? Water, man. Like, believe it or not, like, the boy is high on life, man. Your dude is high on life. This is straight water. Because I don't need nothing, clogging up my vocal cords. Let me send my people the link. My bad, y'all. Y'all don't got the link. You want a second? Let me send the link out to my people. Hey, it's going down tonight, because I'm telling you. I should have brought my cousin shades in. I'm feeling mad bright right now. I'm feeling super cool. But to me, it's really weird when you're in your house with shades on. So I'm not gonna be that guy. I don't think I'll ever be in my house with shades on guy. But yeah. My panelists should be coming in a second. Thank y'all to everybody who's joining us tonight. This is gonna be dope, man. Thank y'all so much. I'm gonna go ahead and get it rolling. Oh, first let me share this and then get it rolling. Share. All right, let me give y'all another one. I don't usually use this one. Let's see, this is one. That's usually my outro music. All right, we're about to get started in just a second. Sorry for the delay. I forgot to send this link to my people, so now they're kind of confused. So get them in here, and then we can get rolling. Yep. We are live. Toxic or Not. Join us. It sounds like I'm about to rap, but I'm not, though. I'm not about to rap. I can rap, though. If I wanted to rap, I could. but I'm not going to. Yeah. It's kind of. Yeah, I thought I was about to do it, but I'm not. I'm not gonna do it, but I could. One day I'll spit a verse for y'all. Right now is not the time, though. We in. We are live. Yeah. All right, let's do it. My guest should be in here in a second. All right, let's do it. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Hello, world, and welcome back to Real Talk with ReZsaun, where nothing's off limits. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me, and I appreciate that. I am your host, ReZsaun Lewis. Now, here on Real Talk with ReZsaun, everything's debatable. So in any given week, we could be discussing anything from sports to music to politics. Now, before I get into my show for tonight, I want to go ahead and shout out to my sponsors. Is your business struggling? Are you having issues finding advertising? Sounds like you need to visit www.sciencetosee.com. They specialize in all your advertising needs. Do you need business cards, t-shirts, banners, car decals, magnets? You can find all of that and more at Signs to See. This month's special buying code for 10% off your order is Buy Black. Buy Black all month of July. Buy Black is your code. Get 10% off at www.sciencetosee.com. And are you looking to start your career in cybersecurity and don't know where to start? Then you need to visit Cyber Prep U. They have trained IT professionals that can get you started on your way. You want to visit www.cyberprepu.as.me and tell them that Real Talk with ReZsaun sent you. With that being said, let's do it. Let's do it. So, before we get started with tonight's show, and I bring in my guests because I know they're about to be coming in a second, I wanted to take some time to do one very special thing, right? I want to start off by acknowledging the passing of a giant. Today, we lost Congressman, civil rights leader, former leader of SNCC, all around great guy, man known as the conscience of Congress. I see you, Slim Soul. The Honorable Congressman John Lewis. You cannot tell the story of Black people in the civil rights movement without mentioning the name John Lewis. So I wanted to start tonight's show off with a moment of silence in honor and in memory of the Honorable Congressman John Lewis. Thank you. All right. So now that that's out the way, let's get it cracking. I got my guest soul in the building. I got Andre in the building. I got two gentlemen that I know about to get it going. I'm excited. So listen, right now it's just us three. So we're going to get it rolling. No, matter of fact, I told him 7:10. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, and I'll let the other people in.
All right. You want to go first, brother?
Go ahead, Andre.
Oh, cool. My name is Andre. Friend of ReZsaun. I've known him for a couple of years. Just here on the podcast or whatever. Want to talk some crazy topics, like I do my own thing on my Facebook page. I own a small business here, Art with Andre. So some of y'all know me, some of y'all don't. But let's get it cracking.
Word. Go ahead, Slim Soul.
All right, what's up? I'm Slim Soul. Some people know me as Cody Dixon. I've been a teacher in the Low Country for about 4 or 5 years. I own my own nonprofit. I'm a graduate of College of Charleston. So
cool.
After I graduated College of Charleston, I started my own nonprofit where I wanted to teach kids music, teach kids creativity, artwork, any kind of thing really to show them that, it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you put forth effort to it. Then you can do pretty much anything that you put your mind to. So it shows them a lot of jobs in the art sector that are possible to them, especially in this climate, in this day and age. With just music technology, art technology, just stuff like that. So I've been really into, just doing after school programs, Title I areas. I taught at Burns. I've been teaching for a minute, and to see what's going on in the school system, just firsthand, like going into it as a young black man, you kind of see where there are discrepancies, where there's problems, where there's things that are being overlooked. There are things that we aren't necessarily fixing the problem right now. But yeah, that's why I'm here to talk about anything and everything on the topic. I'm it's hot as hell, so we can do it social distancing. We can do it. We can talk, and people can still hear, what you're saying, especially when you come with a more calm demeanor and just know what you want to talk about. So
Yes.
thank you for having me, though. Thank
No
you.
problem, man. And I didn't know you were a cougar, man. I like you already. You good with me.
Yeah,
Speaking of
bro. I'm
cougars,
out here. Hey,
go ahead, Sterling.
Hey, how you doing, man? How y'all doing? Sterling
Introduce
how
Savage.
you doing,
introduce
bro?
yourself to the audience.
Hi, my name is Sterling Savage. Behavior interventionist at Meeting Street Academy downtown. Um, I've known ReZsaun since we were in school at CLC. Call me Mister. Just honored to be a part of the show and give my opinion.
Word. And lastly, we got Mr. JaChris. Thank you so much for joining us, JaChris. Please introduce yourself to the audience, sir.
What's going on, man? JaChris, born and raised Charleston, South Carolina, man. Just looking to be a part of something, open discussion and forums and stuff like that is what I'm all about.
All right, man. Well, shoot. For those who are new to the show, the whole purpose of Toxic or Nah, this show is called Toxic or Nah. I wanted to create this venue, this space, to create a safe space for black men to talk about issues that are often talked about, but are rarely talked about by black men in public. So I wanted to create that space, and that's what this is. Just in case you're new to the format, we do have 5 segments. We have 3 segments. All right, each segment is going to have a different set of panelists. All right, and each panel is going to have their own set of questions. So this group here runs from 7:40 to 7:10 to 7:50. So once we get rolling, the questions are going to come out, and I'm going to let them cook. The only thing that I ask, fellas, is if you are not talking, you put yourself on mute until you're ready to talk. That way we don't have a whole lot of background noise. All right. So I'm gonna start off with the first question. Let's start with a fun one. Let's just go in. First topic I want to start out with is voting. Right. So we are in a time period where we are in an electoral year, a presidential electoral year. But there is definitely a mindset that says that voting does not matter. I want to know what you guys' thoughts are when it comes to voting. I want to start with Cody. Let's go, Cody. Oh, please try to keep your answers within a minute and a half.
Keep it short. Okay, yeah. So I definitely, I think voting does matter for one reason alone. The black vote does matter, but it's not when we're thinking of like national, state, local. The black vote matters locally. It matters locally in the area that you are in and what you are trying to do. And if it's your neighborhood, then your neighborhood needs to show out and vote locally to incite change in what you actually want to do. Like when it comes to state and national, like that's kind of a different. I think we need to take a look at that all together. But locally, yes, I think voting does matter. That's what I'm saying.
All right, let's go to Andre.
You hear me? Is my off mute?
Yep.
All right, cool. So voting. I kind of want to mirror what he said. Nationally, it's kind of difficult, especially being here in Charleston, South Carolina. And in the South, it's like a red state. It almost feels like your vote doesn't count because we already know what time it is. Like it's going to be a red person. It's going to be right wing. Like I don't think any time in my lifetime we've seen a Democrat come out of the state of South Carolina. Like you kind of know what it is. But locally, it does matter. Like your mayors, your police forums and whatnot, like you do need to go and kind of engage yourself with that. Me personally, like I know I kind of, pay attention to our local constituents and whatnot, but like as far as nationally, it's just like I wouldn't say it's a waste of my time or anything like that, but we know what time it is, and that's kind of scary. It's kind of crazy. Like people say, "Hey, you should vote anyway." Like thinking that some so and so is going to get the vote will cause somebody not to win. Like I mean, I think Hillary probably lost because a lot of people sat out the vote just thinking, "Oh, she got it in a bag."
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I didn't vote because that's what I thought it was. I'm here in South Carolina. I knew Trump was going to win this state, but I didn't think that he'd win the overall thing. Like I just thought it in the bag. I took it for granted, you know what I mean? And so that's like an eye opener. So that's just kind of how I feel about the voting thing, trying to keep it short or whatever. So,
all right, let's go with Sterling.
All right. I would definitely say that voting matters. I haven't always voted when I should have, but I would definitely say that voting matters. And I would just pose that question to anyone and say, look at the state we're in now with this pandemic. Look at the leadership. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
Our votes do matter, and whether that's nationally, locally, from the president to the governor to the mayor to all that, and like you said, even down to your police chiefs and all these different things. And that's the only way you can really enact change. Well, it's one of the main ways you can enact change. And our ancestors died for that right to vote. So because we weren't always able to. So really, just out of respect, I feel like most people should vote. And that it is one effective way to to create change. It's not the only way, but it's definitely a way to move the needle if we do it correctly.
Word. And Chris, what you got?
I'm on page with everybody else, man. Voting does matter. I say more at the state and local level. When it comes to presidency and stuff like that, I'm a little bit different.
Yeah.
Everybody felt like Obama got into office and he was supposed to come down to Charleston and change everybody's lives. No, that's not the case. You gotta vote for your locals first. And if you want to make a real change, you got to start with the man in the mirror, and then your immediate surroundings, and let that grow bigger and bigger and bigger. But it starts in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you just made a great point, right? So we're in a presidential voting year, a presidential election cycle. So everybody's talking about the presidential elections. How much attention are you paying to the local elections? And if so, what are the local elections you're paying the most attention to? I'll let anybody start that one.
all right, so I'll go out there. I'm gonna be honest with you, like
And it's okay to say if you're not following it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I got a lot of stuff.
That's what we do here. This is real talk with ReZsaun. This ain't lie talk. This ain't
I
make up talk.
I feel that.
Yeah. Be real. Let's go.
Yeah, so like, I mean, it's hard to get the information out. Like, there's so many distractions and whatnot. There's so much going on. Like, like, I mean, even with this COVID thing. So, I have a lot of local friends, and I kind of, if they're on my Facebook and their campaign is good and I see their advertisements, yes, I'm gonna pay attention to that. But am I in it every day thinking about it? No, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's just not one of those things that, me personally, I'm not super into politics anyway. Like, I mean, I'll talk about it on a national stage, but on a local level, it's like, I think, information is not as accessible as to everything else. So, yeah, I'm just be real. Like, it's important, but I could do a better job at paying attention. You know what I mean?
But I think that's an honest thing. But I think that's an honest thing to say. I think too often we try to BS our way through it. Like we'll say, "Oh, I'm following all the local elections." They're like, "Yo, what are the local elections you're following?" And like,
you don't know. Yeah.
So no. One thing I need y'all to watch, right? And this is not a political podcast, and this isn't an opportunity for me to endorse anything like that. But we need to be watching certain things. If you have a problem with the way our nation is run, if you have a problem, there are certain people that have been incumbents in office for quite some time. I'll give you one name, Lindsey Graham. If you don't like Trump, then you shouldn't be voting for Lindsey Graham. You should be watching that. There's a guy out there by the name of Jamie Harrison, and I will endorse him. Jamie Harrison is a black man from the state of South Carolina who is running against Lindsey Graham and has a great chance to do it. But it's going to take people like us having conversations and figuring out, what is this guy about, and does he represent my interest? Because what ReZsaun's interest might be may not be Andre's interest. It might not be Chris's interest. It may not be Sterling's interest. It may not be Cody's interest. So, like, people like that. So let's think of it from a different angle. If we don't know the candidates, what do you think are the most important locally elected positions?
Council is definitely, like, councils, especially people that are in charge of money. So it's different. It's different with different places. Like, Charleston, for instance, is a big tourist attraction, I'll say. It's a big tourist place. So the tourist board and the tourist, the people that control the tourism money, which is a lot of money because that's just how we make our bread, those people hold a lot of power. It's like those aren't really elected positions, but like people that control councils, your local council, what is it? State representatives, like you were saying. There's one under the state. What is that? The county representative.
County.
See, I don't know a whole. Yeah, so the county representatives.
How do we fix that?
I think those are the people.
How do we fix that?
People are trying though, and that's what, because I love that you put me in this this category, because is peaceful protest important? And yes, it is, because at these peaceful protests, that is where you start disseminating information like this. You start telling people who you need to be voting for, or who you need to be thinking about, or like what elections are coming up, or like what votes are happening. Not even like, some voting that doesn't even it's not an elected official. It's just a law or some legislation or a bill that is brought to the people, and people don't know about it, so they don't know what to vote for. It's worded weird, like, already, so if you're not informed on it, you have no idea how to vote either way. Like, you don't know what the question is, sometimes.
Agreed. I also think, and I want to get to some another topic, because I don't want to stay here too long. But I also think that one, it takes, sometimes you have to be in a situation where you have to answer a question that you can't answer. It's like us as educators. I think I'm an educator, Sterling's an educator, and Coach is an educator. And you also work with
kids. Meeting Street?
Nah, I taught it. Oh, Sterling. Yeah. So,
right, you the gym teacher. No.
Sterling.
I'm the behavior interventionist.
Yes. Okay, word. Okay, right. Yes.
Yeah. Wow, so we know each other. That's great.
Yeah.
I'll make sure y'all get each other's numbers by the end of this, and then y'all can set it up.
My bad.
No, you good. But sometimes you have to be in a position where you have to answer questions that you don't know the answer to realize maybe I'm not as invested as I thought I may have been. And that's a good thing. That's a good place to be in, because when you're a student, when you're a student and you realize that you're an empty cup that needs to be filled, that's a good place to be, as opposed to being a full cup walking around like, yo, I'm actually pretty empty. I just think I'm full. So I think that's something that we as a people, we have to make ourselves more aware about what's going on in terms of our local electorates, because there are things that we have to be able to address when we go into the polls. The sound quality is horrible. I'm sorry, Stella. Yeah, if you're not speaking, just put yourself on mute. That way we can make sure we can hear everybody. I'm sorry, Stella. It's better now? All right, thank you. But so we'll make sure we're doing that. With that being said, I wanted to move on before I get into a protest topic, because we want to go there. We probably can spend a whole lot more time there. But I want to talk about this idea of Black conservatives. This idea of conservatives in this new time where we have people like the Candace Owens make a name for themselves in politics. What do you think about this idea of the Black conservative? And I'll start with
You said you start with who, me? Sterling.
Can you hear me, Sterling?
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I said, what are your thoughts on the Black conservative? That, as we're seeing the Black conservative movement come up, what are your first thoughts when you hear about that?
honestly, man, I feel like you're always going to be able to find someone to agree with you. You get what I'm saying? Of someone of all
Yeah.
different races or beliefs or different things like that. So like you got blacks for Trump. You got all these different people. You're gonna always be able to find and recruit people. And I mean honestly, people are gonna believe what they believe, and they're gonna push that agenda and how they feel. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I feel like it's gonna always happen. So
Yeah. Chris, what you think?
I mean, every side's going to have their pros and cons, and if you just sit back and listen, as a lot of people, they listen to respond as opposed to listening to understand. And if you take a
Yeah.
moment and
Yeah.
just listen to what they got to say, you might pick up on things you like, and you're going to pick up on things you don't like. I mean, it's not for everybody, but I can respect their opinions and beliefs, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
If I disagree with something, I'm pretty sure it's something I'm doing, and I don't identify with a specific party or anything like that. If they disagree with something, I'm I'm going hard for. I'm not gonna bash them. I'm gonna let them do them, and I'm gonna do me. So when it comes to Black conservatives as a whole, I respect their opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Andre.
Yeah, so it's definitely a respective opinion and whatnot. I kind of feel, uh, I think some of those conservatives, the Candace Owens of the world, there's some other ones. It's like twins. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they're kind of jokey and they're on YouTube and
Yep,
they're
I've seen
always
them.
like, I don't know their names, but you know what I'm talking about, right? I honestly think it's a bit of a
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
ploy, to be honest with you. Like they swing so right, and like, you know what I mean? Like I'm black. And if I swing left, you expect that from me. If I'm black and I swing right,
Mhm.
oh, I'm gonna get shared. Like Candace Owens leveled up. She's so leveled up that Dave Chappelle dissed her, and it has no backlash. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
that's that's how that's how that works. Like if you're the black person that's speaking to the right, you're going to be elevated because they want that in the first place. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? So um I don't know if they are truthful, if they're coming from the heart, if it's a marketing thing. I know Candace Owens, she had some things, some racist stuff going on, and she had to sue somebody with the NAACP, and turns around years later and she's like, nah, NAACP, she talks bad about them.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that knowing your history? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it levels her up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they're looking for that black voice to say what they want them to say in the first place. I don't like using the word coon or anything like that, or Uncle Tom and stuff like that. I know we tend to label them. I've seen some of Canada and stuff, and sometimes she's on point. Sometimes she does make solid points. Most of the time, not. I honestly think it's just like marketing. Like, how do I become the bigger voice? Don't be surprised if you see Candace Owens running for president in the same rhetoric that Donald Trump is, because they love that kind of rhetoric, and
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
need that kind of celebrity to elevate them. Because once he's done, it has to end. Whether
Yeah.
he wins this election or the next election or doesn't, his reign has to end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get some bland Republican to come in office and be anything. It has to be something that has to have that kind of rally the base kind of deal. And I could see a Candace Owens stepping up in the plate like, hey, y'all remember me?
Mm.
Vote for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about that situation.
Coming back to Chris, you had something on that? I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, I want to ask Andre a question. How would you feel about Black conservatives if they didn't identify with another political party? If Black conservatives were strictly Black conservative and didn't, pledge allegiance to Trump or anybody like that, if they
Can I
were
answer
their
that?
own entity, go ahead.
Yes. So my problem with quote unquote the Black conservative movement is they don't want Black people with conservative thoughts. They want Black people to parrot the thoughts of racist white people. And that's my problem with the iteration that we're seeing of the Black, quote unquote, Black conservative movement. That's the issue. If it was Black people that were allowed to be Black people, like if Chris decided, I'm a conservative. I align myself more with the conservative movement than I do with the Democratic Party. I'd have no problem with that. But if Chris decided, oh, I align myself with the conservative party, with the Republican Party, and now it's time to bash black people, like the stuff that Candace Owens says, and I've been doing Real Talk with ReZsaun for 3 years now. This is the first time I've ever said the name Candace Owens. I feel like that about her. I feel like you can believe whatever you want to believe. If you are interested in finding out what real black conservatism looks like without the whitewashed version of it, like actual revolutionaries who just happen to be conservative thinking, you want to check out a lady by the name of Sunny Johnson. She's a Sirius XM host on Patriot Radio, and she comes on every Saturday at 1 p.m. She is a black conservative, and she is a black person. She is not a whitewashed version of a black person with conservative values. And I've had her on my show, and she is flipping amazing. All right, so that's my issue. So that's what I wanted to say about that, Chris. Andre, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'll mirror what he says. To be honest with you, like if that's truly who you are, then be yourself. You know what I mean? Like, don't be anything other than what you authentically are. Like, if you're legit a black conservative, I have family members that are black conservatives. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, when I was in the military, most military members vote right. They're conservative, whatnot. Like, Latinos, I know a lot of them who are conservative and stuff like that. It's one thing to be conservative. It's another thing to be that conservative that's kind of racist. You know what I mean? Like that underlying for the world kind of deal. And again, it's the black bashing. Like, don't bash us when you're doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't black on black crime us. And
what about Chicago us?
Thank you.
Thank you. Like, bruh, like, we get it. We understand that there's issues in the black community, but there's issues in the white community too. There's issues in every community that there is.
Every single one.
So to single us out and just be like, oh, we're not, there's no justice reform needs to be happening and whatnot because black on black crime, like, that's crap.
Racism doesn't exist because I'm a black I'm a black conservative. How does racism disappear because you switch parties?
Political alliance.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cody. We come back to you.
Oh, yes, my bad. So, like, I had some technical difficulties, but I'm back with it. I didn't hear the whole thing, but I'm pretty sure we all on the same page with, they're like, just because you're black conservative does not mean you hate your own people, does not mean that you're against the black movement at all, because, even as goofy as Candace Owens is, and as goofy as some of these people are, they are saying the same facts to an extent. Some of it, like I watched some of the videos, the one I saw with Revolt, when it was like Killer Mike and T.I. and her and like a couple other people, it was like a moderated panel, and like Killer Mike was even having to calm the crowd down. He was like, hey, bro, y'all can't be disrespectful to her now that she's trying to speak her piece and y'all want her to explain herself. She's trying to, and now you're hot on her because you don't necessarily agree with her views, political views. Yeah. My whole thing about black conservatives is that, like, it's our family too, bro. Like, just like everybody has the people there, and the difference is with our family of it, we know they're not racist. We know they're not racist people. We know that there is not racism in their hearts. They're not attacked. They just know black conservatism is basically, protecting ours, protecting your own, and, doing what you need to do to advance in society at this point. Because it's either you doing it one way or you doing it another way. So,
is somebody playing the drums at your house?
Yeah, bro, he is. He's playing the drums. I'll mute myself. I'm in the studio now, so I tried to find a quiet place.
Oh, word.
He just got to go ham right now.
It's like...
It's his crib, so he's like, I'm playing with my drums. I'm like, all right, bro. All right.
I understand.
I'm going to talk to him.
Yeah. Like, okay, thanks. I was like, golly, man. I thought we had a whole concert going on in the background. But yeah, man, I mean, just to wrap this is up in a bow, man. Like, I think that, one, simply having the idea of being a conservative as a black person, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Like, it's just political affiliation. That's not an issue. That's okay. I vote. Charvis said right there, it's about voting your interests. I'm all about voting my interests. Everything that I think is not a democratic way of thinking. Everybody that I vote for is not a Democrat. I tell people all the time, voting straight ticket is the biggest waste of a vote you can possibly do. It really, really is. Find out who these people are, find out what they're about, and vote your interests. But being a conservative, if being a conservative means that I forget what it means to be a black man in this country, y'all can keep it. Y'all can keep it. I'm going to be me regardless. Yeah. I'm going to be me regardless, no matter who I vote for. It's just like, and I'll use this as an example. It's like black dudes that date white girls, right? I have no problem with dating white girls. Do you? But if you decide to date white girls and then you decide to use that as your reason to bash black women, there is something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you. And you can't, like, that's a problem. Like, love who you love, do your thing. But it's like, no, well, let me tell you why I love the white women over the black women, because the white women are so subservient and they are willing to listen to me and all of my problems. Boy, I almost called you a name. All right?
Anyway,
y'all feel me, all right? True. Y'all feel me on this, right?
I feel you.
Like
100%, yeah.
Damn, that's my whole thing. All right, cool. So with that being said, let's roll into our final topic, which is going to be peaceful protests, right? Peaceful protests. I started the show by doing a moment of silence for Congressman John Lewis, who is, like I said earlier, a speech I did earlier today. You cannot tell the story of civil rights in this country without telling the story of John Lewis. John Lewis, marched across the Selma Bridge, on the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. He marched with Dr. King. He was a leader of SNCC. He started advocating for civil rights when he was a teenager. And up until he died at 80 years old, he was serving our country and fighting for some kind of rights for somebody other than himself. But he started out as a peaceful protester. So I think this is a great question to have, especially with everything that's going on. What are your thoughts on peaceful protests? I want to start with Chris, because I don't think I started with Chris on any of them yet.
Peaceful protesting can work. It's just whenever people hear peaceful protests, they get one-track minded, as opposed to violent protests or as opposed to any other form of protest. It's good to have options, okay? So the option of peaceful protesting can work like a sit-in. I feel like a sit-in is the most effective peaceful protest. Just go into business and sit still and just limit their money, limit their traffic. Mm-hmm. You do that for a week straight. You can see how coronavirus is impacting businesses. Imagine if peaceful protests impacted businesses the same. So yeah, peaceful protests do work. Some.
Okay. All right. Let's go, Sterling.
Yes, I do believe that peaceful protests work, and I believe that if positive change is, say, like a highway, that peaceful protest is one of the lanes. I feel like a lot of times people try to say, like, either you support protests or you don't. Like, if you're not here protesting, then you're not really for the movement. You're not really for change. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different lanes that you can go about, creating that positive change. And I believe that peaceful protests are one of those positive lanes.
Okay. All right. Cody.
You already know how it's definitely a way to disseminate information for sure. You have the kinds of people, you have them hyped up, you got them wanting to do something, and that's what I kind of saw at a lot. 'Cause I was out there, I've seen a lot of things happen over not even the course of these weeks or months, but like years and years of they killed a brother that literally did peaceful protest and pushed for non-violent, things to happen. He pushed for change. Muhammad Baha pushed for a lot of change in the local community, and he did it in a very special and beautiful way that it's still pushing out. And people, because when you see these protests and how they play out, you see what happens. You see this kind of organization. You see kind of disconnect of what you want. Like, not everybody wants the same thing. Not everybody's out there. We're all out there for the same reason, but it's not discussed or, figured out to the point where, I'm there and I see people trying to talk and, hear people out. This is police officers. Like, I'll walk with y'all. I'll talk with y'all. I want to hear what you need from me. Like, I want to hear that. So if a person is going to do that, if an officer, if the SWAT team, even if there has been shit in the past that, maybe make your opinion then different, even if that's the case, they're going to try now. And it's like a lot of people, because I see a lot, like the majority of these peaceful protesters downtown is not necessarily the problem of they are willing to accept change and do what they need to do. It's North Charleston, it's Beach Creek, it's Somerville, it's these other places around that don't care about the racial bias audit. They don't care about building rapport with the community. They don't care about that kind of stuff. So that's what the peaceful protests need to be attacked at that point. Just like I said, voting, they need to be at council halls. Like, they need to be at the, it doesn't need to just be walking around in a circle. You need to be at like a council meeting with 200 people, or the state building with 200 people. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. So I think that's a great point. That's a very good point as far as like what needs to go with protesting. I want to stay on that point about protesting though, just because, we've seen what's happened, since the George Floyd situation. We had the massive uprising that took place all over the country. This was the first protest, the first first time in our nation's history that we had protests in all 50 states. All 50 states. My thing is, we know it's messed up if South Dakota's upset. If South Dakota's upset, we got a problem. If they protested in Hawaii, fam, you know how on it you got to be to decide, yeah, I'm going to leave the beach and go protest with pineapples in my hand and saying Black Lives Matter. Like, that's crazy. So I know that there's been a lot of talk about, violent protests and how they think that things are getting done, things are changing, and I do believe that things are changing because of the violent protests. What are your thoughts about? Do you think because protests have gotten more violent? And I'll let any of y'all start that one off.
Could I just real quick, because I know that's the same, bro. It's like with just like my mom said it best, because she's always been a beacon of like info in this time of just like what I need to be focusing on and how you need to carry yourself. But the whole reason Martin Luther King and them sit-ins and all of that stuff worked is because, and to an extent, because they were afraid of the, like, you can do but so much, but like Malcolm X and the Panthers and everybody else is chilling, waiting for you to do something really outrageous to, like, come and start messing some shit up. If you so it's like it's a show of force, and I've said it before. China shows show of force every year. Nobody looks at China sideways. They show their military force in a big parade every year. It's like a tradition for them.
Just so you know.
Just so you know. Just so you know. Like, exactly. That's literally it. That's literally what it is. So, like, at the same point, like, you need to show that, like, you're ready. Like, at the end of the day, it can be a peaceful protest all day long. But like, when they start tear gassing and arresting folks, all right, what are you doing? I see my man. I'm gonna let him hop on that.
Yeah, Slim, that's exactly what I was talking about when I said having options, having different strategies, having the peaceful side and the body side. Because, I mean, there's a little bit of Malcolm and there's a little bit of Martin in all of us.
Yeah.
So bringing that all together full circle is, man, it's unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? It's unstoppable. Only thing it takes is a drop of leadership and it's over with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Andre.
So I'll add this to it. Here's how I feel about protesting and whatnot. I think it's more symbolism, and that's, symbolism is great here in this country. It's I mean, all over the world. That's how people kind of maneuver and whatnot. I feel like protests are one thing, and then you have to get in the grime about the other stuff. Like, you know, the real change is your council meetings, your voting, that process. I would say like this: protesting is church on Sunday, but Bible study is like everything else. You know what I mean? Like how you go to church for one thing,
I
but
feel that.
to really learn what you need to learn, it's that Wednesday Bible study or whatever. And and that's the groundwork that goes behind the backbone of protesting. Like protesting will get you to a point, but real change is the other things that go on about that. I also think peaceful protesting is the long game. But if you want something to happen really quick, like I think, for instance, the George Floyd thing, they sped up those arrests because the city was burning down. They legit said that. They were like, like this is the quickest we've ever done an investigation because blah, 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 because they were tearing that city apart. So peaceful protest is the long game. That's cool and all. That's like putting something in a crock pot and simmering it. But if you want to microwave that thing, sometimes stuff happens, the riots happen and it caused rapid change, And so, I mean, I don't advocate for violence, but in certain stances, I understand it. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of how I feel about that. Whatever.
Right. I love that. Maurice, I see you getting in here, bro. Go ahead. How do you feel about peaceful protests? How do they work for you?
Oh, I was completely in here for the next segment, but I'm gonna tell you this. I think I do think peaceful protests work. I just think one of the big things people need to remember is people have been peacefully protesting about things for years. And when that stops working, that's when they shift to doing things a little bit more extreme. And what we saw in the George Floyd situation is when the peaceful protest stopped working, they went to the next step. And that got everybody's attention. And then they went back to the peaceful protest. And we've still been seeing people protest every week since the George Floyd incident went down.
Yeah. So great point. And I forgot that you were in the next crew. So I'm gonna keep talking to the other people and I'll put you backstage. But yeah, I definitely think so. One thing that I wanted to make sure that we emphasize is the fact that I'm a big believer in this. There's a lot of talk about the fact that, there's so many uprisings and these kids are fed up and they're not going to stand for what our ancestors stood for. They're not going to stand for the things that happened in the civil rights movement. But the point I always make about that is the cops that they're protesting against in the 2020s are not the cops that they were protesting in the 1960s. The cops that they were protesting in the 1960s was sicking them dogs on you. All this burning, all this stuff. Did y'all see any dogs come out? Did we see anybody getting beat with nightsticks? Did we see any water hoses? We didn't see none of that, right? When you had somebody like a Bull Connor out there, somebody who was like, all right, whatever we got to do, we on the other side of this bridge. I don't care where y'all say y'all going. I don't care what y'all's protest application said you were approved for. You not walking through my city. And by any means necessary, we gonna stop you. And I think that when our kids get this mindset like, we're so much bigger and we're so much better than those who came through the civil rights movement, they're completely missing the fact that they're not going against the same police forces that those people were facing in the 1960s. What are your thoughts about that?
Real.
Chris, go ahead.
It's definitely a different beast. It's definitely a different beast. Because I remember my grandparents and stuff like that being afraid of the enemy. Right now, we're living in a time where we ain't scared of nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We have different tools. We have cell phones. We have social media. We have different tools and whatnot. Right now, we are at the strongest. We should. This is the time. This is it. This is it. We have listen. When we got Amish people protesting, France protesting. We got the world protesting.
18 different countries.
Come on now. We right there. So I mean, in a nutshell, yes, it is a different beast. We're not going up against the same police and stuff like that. But we also have different tools that we can use to our advantage as they do they.
Absolutely.
So what's it gonna take for everybody to realize it and make it happen?
I love that. I love that. Sterling, what you got?
Pretty much just to piggyback off what Chris said and everybody else. I mean, I think the biggest difference is just like you said, the world has changed, and it's not the same. I don't think it's fair to say like, oh, we're so much more brolic than our ancestors. Like, you know what I mean? Because it took a lot of courage and like it took a lot of courage for them to do what they were doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's almost kind of like disrespectful to them because it's like, just because they didn't go out there and start instituting the police and tearing stuff up, they don't. No, that doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean that they weren't out there and they laid the groundwork for us to be able to do this today.
But think about this part. Think about this part, right? Yeah, you go out there and you burn stuff up. You know what's gonna happen? They're gonna bomb your house in the 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would legit pull up on your house and spray everything. And I'm not talking about pesticides.
Yep. Yeah.
Molotovs.
Exactly.
Molotovs.
Bruh, they would spray everything. KKK was marching down the street like what? KKK would march down the street like what?
Yeah, I think our ancestors did what they needed to do. You know what I mean? They did what was effective and what needed to be done. And I think that nowadays that's the same thing we're doing. It's gonna be peaceful protests, but you're gonna have some violent protests too. Because you're gonna have frustration, you're gonna have anger, you're gonna have rage when people feel like they're not being heard or they're being disrespected. So that's just kind of like that's gonna happen sometimes. So
what word, man. Well, thank you for that, man. This actually ends our segment. We went through all our topics. I want y'all to come back. So I do this every month. So when I put the application out, put y'all's in early so we can get y'all back on next month, man. Anybody got anything to plug before we get out of here? Podcast, album.
soulpowerproductions.org. That's a nonprofit. Fromtheblockup.com. That is the network that we need to use for everybody to be on the same page.
Word.
Late Graduation. That's the album. That's it.
You got an album called Late Graduation or Late Registration?
Late graduation.
Oh, you did a mashup.
It's a play on the late registration.
I see. Hey, all right. Andre, plug.
Yo, my business, Art with Andre. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or just friend request me, Andre L. Singleton. I teach painting classes, art, whatnot, tutoring. So I'm in a levy of things, and as this thing progresses, I'm going to be getting into some other stuff. So you'll see me around. Like I'm going to be doing some other stuff. I do have a question, right quick, ReZsaun. Right. I was supposed to be on the second panel, but I guess I
hopped in early.
Yes.
All right. So just stick around. I got you. Just stick around.
All right.
Cool. Chris, anything to plug?
Hey man, no plugs. I'm here for the cause. I appreciate you.
Where can we find you? Because you said a lot of good stuff. So where can they find you?
On Instagram, Red Bank Ratchet.
Word, Red Bank Ratchet, man. And come back around. Please come back next month, man. I'd love to continue to chop it up and continue to watch the show. Thank y'all so much, man. All right, Cody.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So we're going to clear out this panel here. And then we'll bring in my second panel. All right. So we got Andre. We got Maurice. Andre, why you ain't telling me you're supposed to be in the second panel? Dude, I don't have the list in front of me. That's hysterical. All right, we good. I mean, I needed another person, so it ended up working out. I appreciate that. All right, so we just brought in Mr. Michael Betters in the building. Thank you for joining me, sir. John Singleton.
What's up, man?
Every time I say it, I want to say yes, I can. Yes, sir. And then Troy Veeg. All right, so Troy, you the only newbie. You the only newbie. All right, man. Thank y'all so much. Introduce yourself to the audience. We'll start with Mike.
All right, man. This is my second time on the show. I'm definitely glad to be a part of it. I'm all the way from Baltimore City, Maryland. Now I'm residing in Ladson. 35. My name is Mike Better. Of course, everyone knows. Better said than sorry. Been a huge activist around town.
Yep. All right. And then we got also my girl Ty just got in here. What up, Ty? I see you.
What's going on?
You already know what time it is. You already listen. I'm not even gonna start screaming.
On here.
Troy, go ahead. Introduce yourself, bro.
How's it going? Peace to the planet. Troy Veeg. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a words guy. Work in finance, but I'm just a thinker. I'm a writer. I'm actually in the process of writing a couple of kids' books now. They should be out early next year. hip hop guy, just all around well-rounded global citizen.
I love it. I love it. All right, Maurice, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Maurice Thomas, aka the Doc, full-time educator, part-time podcaster. You can find me at Throw Up Tackle on all social media platforms.
You're all right. I'm gonna save the lady for last. John, go ahead and introduce yourself. Unless we're gonna go with Taya. Go ahead, Taya.
First of all, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can. We could. We used to could. You froze up on me. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Hold on, she just joined in. It's like she joined in a second time. Wait, hold on. You turned sideways, Taya. What you doing? What you doing, baby?
Look, I'm still with you. I don't know what just happened. My phone like totally kicked me out.
All right, it's cool. It's cool. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, my name is Taya. Clearly, I'm the only female here.
Yep.
I'm a messy bitch. I live for drama. No, I'm just playing, y'all. I am an Army veteran, honorably discharged as of last year. I live here in Charleston, single mom. I work for one of the cell phone carriers. They will remain unnamed, but if you know,
I know what it is.
I love it. If you know, you know. If you don't, you know. And this is usually how it is for me. I'm the voice of the women amongst men. So let's go. Let's get it.
Whatever phone carrier service you work with needs to help out. You know?
Yeah.
My dang arm. Hold on.
All right. John, can you introduce yourself now?
Wait, ReZsaun, I can't hear you, brother.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, John, can you hear me?
I don't know what's going on.
John, go out and come back in. Tell him to go out and come back in.
Is it the number of people that we have on or no?
No, I don't think so. We should be fine. We should be fine because it holds up to 10 now. Charvis, hold 1 second. John, go out and come back in. Somebody say to him because sometimes you can't hear everybody if something's not singing.
John, ReZsaun is saying to go out and come back in, brother.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know what happened to Taya. What she say was going on with her phone? Somebody called my phone. Oh. Is Taya having problems? All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, let's get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and give y'all the first question, and we're going to start rolling. All right, so this has been an interesting time. Charvis, I got you. Hold 1 second. This has been an interesting time in media, right? This is a interesting world that we are going into in terms of relationships. Every topic that we have here in this panel is about relationships. And there's a lot going on. So let's start out with a very basic question. What is cheating in a relationship? I'll start with Troy since you're the newbie.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say cheating, it's interesting, and I hate to be so waxing so poetic right now, but cheating really kind of implies a game. And so I hate to use that word because in my mind, relationships and marriages aren't really game-like. But in using that term cheating, I would just say cheating goes against whatever the previously agreed upon terms of the situation were. No one from the outside can tell what cheating is. It's only about the participants of a specific arrangement and whether the actions of said arrangement goes against what the previously agreed upon terms were.
All right. I like that. I like that explanation. Let's go with John Singleton.
What's going on, y'all? Did get a chance to introduce myself.
Oh, please introduce yourself, brother.
Love Life Legacy. My bad. Something's going on my internet. One half of the Love Life Legacy podcast. Do a podcast every weekend with me and my wife, revolving around this very topic, relationships and all other kind of stuff. I'm multitasking. I'm outside in my garage cleaning my gun while I'm talking to y'all, brother. So
okay, cleaning the gun.
I don't know if you want to focus on that.
Hey, trust me, it's unloaded. Nothing's in the chamber. I'm very careful.
Appreciate you, brother.
But yeah, cheating. For me and my wife and I have been married. We celebrated 14 years on the 14th, on the 16th. Sorry. And I am a member of that club. My wife and I actually did the last conversation revolved around, Will, Jada, and the whole mess that they had going on, and can a marriage actually survive infidelity?
Yeah.
Being that we ourselves personally went through it on my behalf 2 times. So I know firsthand what cheating is, because I've been the one that actually did it. But it could be physical. It also can be emotional.
Yeah.
But it's you really sharing who you are with someone else outside of a monogamous relationship. Now that can be anything from deep conversations to inward secrets to your physical being. But any parts of you that you share outside of your monogamous relationship is considered cheating.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Maurice, what you got?
When you talk about the idea of cheating, I think cheating is a violation of the agreement that you and another person have made. I heard John talking about monogamy, and for some people that may have not been the agreement. The agreement may have been, one person's allowed to see other people, or both people are allowed to see other people. But once you get to the point where you have violated the agreement that you and another person have come up with, that is what I would identify as cheating. Anytime you are going behind another person's back or betraying the other person or misleading the other person, that is when you enter the realm of what I would call cheating. So to me, cheating in general is just a violation of that overall contract that y'all have created for yourselves.
Okay. All right. Andre.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think it's about the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, cheating is just, it doesn't have to be a physical thing. It doesn't have to just be sexual. It could be mental. It could be going behind somebody's back and doing whatever. And you can't really, the people who were in the couple is, me and said lady were doing something and she felt like I cheated, then it's hard to define cheating, because it's just going behind somebody's back and doing something that you didn't agree upon or you didn't know about, or with somebody else, and usually with the opposite sex, I guess, So just kind of we're going in the same circle here. So
all right, Mike, what's cheating? You feel anything differently than what they already said?
I mean, like, just to honestly segue off of what Doc was talking about, it's more or less something that you would not be able to consciously do in front of your significant other or in the presence of your partner, right? So because they're like we talked about earlier, I mean, you may have an agreement to which, like, you and your partner are comfortable with you guys having other partners or dibbling and dabbling in conversation, whether it's the physical or whether it's something that ties into the emotional. But once again, it's something that you indulge in that is not something that you can do in the presence of your partner, that to which you have had a monogamous relationship with, or to which you intend on having a monogamous relationship with.
Go ahead, Taya.
She's freezing again, I think.
Oh,
she's stuck in the Matrix.
Y'all can hear me okay though, right?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I want Taya in on this. Like, I got Taya. So first of all, this is the first time we've done a real toxic or not with ladies involved. So I'm really excited about the ladies' takes tonight. Ridiculous. But Taya's service is, I don't even know what it getting on my nerves. Is being ridiculous.
It's that Teddy Riley internet.
So, no, Taya. That's all right.
That's T-Mobile.
We can hear you.
You said
now she's gone.
We could hear her.
Now she's gone now. But so I definitely agree that when you talk about cheating is definitely anything that can't if you're talking about your spouse, you have a girlfriend, anything I can't do around my spouse or around my girlfriend, that's cheating. That's quintessentially cheating. And vice versa. If the only time you can talk to this dude is when I'm not in the room, you're cheating on me with him. All right? Like, if I can't be in the room when you talk to him, that's cheating. That's a form of cheating. What do you think, Troy? I see you.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I disagree. I would disagree with that. I think there are so there's multiple bins or baskets, right? So there's things that are verbal agreements, right? So things that are mutually agreed upon verbally, directly agreement, right? But then there's also nonverbal agreements, kind of like social contracts, things that may have not gone said, but you kind of both have the same vibe about.
Yeah.
But then outside of that, there's just insecurities on one or both of the partners. So let's say, for instance, we have a situation where my wife and myself, and again, I am married. I'm celebrating my 10th year of marriage this September.
Jesus Christ.
Never cheated. Hopefully, I don't think she cheated on me, but that's neither here nor there. I can still speak objectively about this, right?
Right.
So for instance, like if my wife and I have an agreement, neither of us can ever have sex with someone else. Neither of us can go on dates with someone else, right?
Right.
But let's say, in theory, my wife knows or thinks or really has a strong feeling about me being uber protective or uber emotional or uber insecure. Then there are some things that she would do just in normal behavior, like speak to a man about anything. But if I'm insecure, I'm going to view that as cheating. And if she knows me well enough, she's going to try to not do that in front of my face, even if it's innocent. And I'm saying all this to say that there's a lot of activity that may not be cheating whatsoever, but depending on one partner's knowledge of the other partner's insecurities, they may still not do something for that reason alone.
No, I agree with you there totally. But if my thing is this, if the only time you can talk to this person is when I'm not around, something's wrong. Like, oh, I'm on the phone with Johnny. Like, if you're on the phone with your brother, right? And I walk in the house, you're not gonna hang up with your brother. If every time I walk in the house, you gotta hang up from this conversation with this dude, something ain't right. Taya, go ahead.
Right. So hold on, ReZsaun, let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
So you get off work and a coworker wants to grab drinks. Coworker's a female.
Right.
You go grab drinks. Is that cheating?
Did I tell my wife?
No. You ain't tell your wife.
Oh no, I tell my wife. I'd be like, babe, I'm going to get drinks with my friends from work.
Oh, okay.
Now, I would do that. I would do that.
Do you tell your wife that it's a female, or you just say coworkers?
So for me, I'm the guy at my job that goes to lunch with everybody. That's how I get to know people. So like anytime my wife calls me on my lunch break, I'm probably at lunch with a female. Like almost every time I go to lunch. But again, like back to what Troy was saying, it's not. There's no violation of trust that's happening there. There's no violation of trust. There's an open situation where it's like, hey babe, you know I like going to lunch with people. You know I work West Ashley. We live in Somerville, so I'm gonna go to lunch with the people I work with. But ain't nothing crazy because that same way I go to lunch, I'm not canceling lunch with my wife to go to lunch with them. And I'm not keeping it away from my wife. Now, if my wife finds out I'm going to lunch with all these people and I never mention to her that it just so happens that everybody I'm going to lunch with are girls, I might be doing something wrong. But that comes back to trust. Charvis, go ahead and get in, bro.
Okay, there we go.
Nah, man, I agree. I think that, as long as there's mutual respect there and everyone knows the boundaries.
Okay, so my internet is just not going to let me be great.
And not to cross the boundaries, I think that everything will be okay.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Taya, can you hear us, babe?
I can hear y'all. Can you hear me?
We can hear you beautifully.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is cheating, Taya?
So you better let Taya talk now.
Is when you got to do something behind somebody's back. If I don't know what you got going on.
Right. Keep going. You got it. We don't need you to introduce yourself. You go ahead and talk. You've been waiting. You've been waiting. Go ahead and talk.
That's that friends and family discount she got.
Boy, she on her Teddy Riley tonight.
I'm glad she didn't say what that phone company was.
Yo,
hey, gentlemen, I have an interesting perspective. I think I want to add, and I don't know if it was touched on this particular part of the subject, but a lot of stuff kind of also resonates or residue from your past, right? Yeah. Because if you have a troubled past because you've always been cheated on or what have you, those residue droppings play a part to some degree in your future relationships.
Absolutely.
So the communication got to be there so that you can understand, what the boundaries are, what's accepted and what's not accepted.
Shaya gave up, y'all. I'm sorry.
Why don't you just use a cell phone? Why she can't use a cell phone service? Why turn the Wi-Fi off?
I don't know what Shaya got going on.
She don't want to use her anytime minutes. It's not after 9 o'clock. Y'all know how it go, man.
10 gigabyte data package.
Y'all are funny.
Y'all are funny. Overages add up now.
Y'all are funny.
Overages add up.
Y'all are funny. So yeah. So listen. I totally agree. Charvis, to your point, for sure, it all comes back to communication, man. I think it's all about knowing who your spouse is and what they're about. I always talk about the fact that you have to let people love you for who you actually are, right? That means you have to be willing to unmask your vulnerabilities and say, these things hurt me. It hurts me when you do this with this person. Now, once I know what your vulnerabilities are, I can say, these are things that I'm willing to accept in a relationship or not. But we got to be willing to have that conversation. And I think a lot of times we just assume that people are going to love us the way we want to be loved and understand without having to have that conversation, which is where the misunderstanding comes in. Jonathan, go ahead. What you got?
I agree. I really do agree. The conversation is key. You really have to conversate and talk about the boundary, what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to not accept. You know, but also at the same time, I heard you say that we can't assume that, you know, how someone else views our actions. You know, they should understand that it's no malintention or anything like that. And I don't want to misconstrue what you just said, but because I understood your point. But to some degree, some things just really don't need to be spoken. In a relationship, some things are understood. You know, if like how we said earlier, if I'm talking on the phone with a female that I work with, and when my wife walks in, I have to hang up. She doesn't have to explain to me, hey, I don't like it that you got to hang up with this girl.
Okay, all right.
Every time I come in the room, I should know based on the respect that I have for her that that's a boundary that I should have already established. ReZsaun, I look up to you, brother, because you are a man that I would say is somebody who I want to be like. But I myself, knowing how dirty and nasty I am, I can't go out to lunch with certain females. Female, period. I'm just
no myself.
No lunch?
Yeah. We can't get a sandwich? Myself.
Not even a
no lunch, bro. If I'm going to lunch with a female, she's got to have a companion. Oh no! Oh, my wife got to be there. I know myself. I can't do it because as much as I want to be safe and pure, as much as I want to maintain myself as just a friend or coworker, the dog gonna take over. I'm a hunter.
Not even a
you know. So regardless of how I want to be cordial, it's
not an appetizer. Nothing.
That parameter up. Nothing. I set it up and I set it up. That's a boundary. And I know that I said that I am of the cheating community, right? But my wife doesn't have to tell me that. And maybe my experience may be a little different because I have disrespected her trust, you know? But it's just certain things I still know in the relationship that you don't do every single thing. So that's my thing.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, man. I think knowing yourself is of utmost importance. It's the first thing, really, in my mind, for any relationship beyond just the romantic. It can be business, it can be companion, it can be family, friends, whatever it is. Knowing yourself and knowing what the terrain is of utmost importance, man.
No, I agree totally.
Big facts.
Yeah. Again, it's knowing who you're with. And knowing yourself.
Apex predators.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. But I think you made a great point. Like knowing yourself. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
So knowing yourself is so important, right? If there was a time in my life where I wouldn't have trusted me to go to lunch with people either, I gotta be honest with you. But God, praise God. You know, but seriously, like I really believe that when you know who you are, you know what your limitations are. I've had I have a good bit of female friends, but just based on what I do and the fact that, you know, I mentor. So I got a lot of parents that I'm in contact with on a day-to-day basis. So I got to know me, and I got to make sure that I know that I'm on my square, because I plan on being married to this lady for the rest of my life. Yeah. I don't want to be married to nobody else. So I got to make sure, one, that I'm being completely honest with her and letting her know what I'm about, who I am, and the things that mean the most to me. Because if I don't do that, I can't love her the way she wants to be loved. With that being said, I want to move on. I don't want to stay there too long. But that was a great jumping off point.
Okay.
Let's talk about polyamory, right? Polyamory and polygamy, right? Because people out here doing it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Let's start with who hasn't talked much. Andre, go.
Honestly, so
Gotta get in trouble.
nah, I can't. Right? No, I dated a girl and we discussed that early on in our relationship, like the whole polyamory thing, and she was gonna do her thing on her side, I was gonna do my thing, and then when we came together, it was what it was. It wasn't for me, man. I just can't, in any way, shape, or form, share who I'm with somebody. I'm just selfish like that. It works for people, I can't knock anything anybody does. I mean, like people are into whatever. I don't care. If it makes you happy, do it, right? I know a lot of people feel like monogamy is not a natural thing. Like we're men in particular are bred, or we supposed to take our seed and spread it, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of, and monogamy is a human a man-made concept. I've heard that before. So like for those people who feel that way, they can try that glamorous stuff. For me, it ain't for me personally, but people who do it, it is what it is. It's 2020. Who are we to judge, right? So that's just kind of how I feel about that.
But I'll be honest with you. In this climate today, a lot of people are, they are very ambitious, right? And some people are willing to lose themselves for the idea of being in a situationship, right? Because it looks good or it sounds good. But believe it or not, there's a lot of people that they live their life like that. I had someone that actually was bold enough to ask to be me and my wife's girlfriend. That was crazy because she was bold enough to ask that. But that's the climate in which we're living in today, that more folks are emboldened to do stuff like that. But if I can, gentlemen, I would love to ask Jonathan a question because I came on the last end. Jonathan, did you mention that you were married?
Yeah, married. We just celebrated 14 years on the 16th.
He's a love doctor.
So with us, so with you having the issue potentially of not being able to go to lunch with people because you said what's your take on this polygamy, polyamory? Like, are you with that?
Personally,
if his screen go black, it's not the internet. It's not.
Answer carefully.
Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
No.
Load you guys.
No disrespect.
Let me make sure this thing. All right, I'm good. I'm gonna be honest. It's something that I have considered and thought about as I was on the process of self-discovery. Because with my last stage of infidelity, the last time I cheated, really set me on a course of self-discovery. Because with this time was different. First time I was super young, just got married, trying to do the young boy thing. Boy growing into a man, didn't know myself, no self-identity, no nothing. I kind of chalked that one up to the game. Me and my wife worked that out. It was a process. Now, the second one around, my wife was literally doing everything that she was supposed to be doing as a wife and a mother. She wasn't the case of, she wasn't, giving me sex. She wasn't cooking. She wasn't cleaning. She wasn't doing all these that you hear certain men say. This time was on me. So that time sent me on a path of self-discovery, and I had a lot of questions I had to ask myself. And being in a polygamous relationship was one of the things that I asked. Would it be easier if I just had the option of having multiple women than to try to be with one woman? Because this who I really am, then this is something that I need to try to discover. And what I've learned through that process is that although I do have an innate nature inside of me that I wasn't given myself, that I feel like I was created with, that I know that a lot, if not all men have, that dog that I keep talking about. Although I have that, what I have outweighs that nature.
Yeah.
What I want outweighs that nature. And what I'm willing to fight for outweighs that nature. So although I can kind of wrap my mind around the idea, I wouldn't ever be willing to put myself out there like that, because my wife literally gives me everything that I need. She checks everything for me.
Yeah.
So me trying to consider that wouldn't probably be an option for me.
So I sort of tuned out for a second because my computer is doing some nut stuff. But did anybody say they were with polygamy, polyamory? They would try it out? Troy, what was your reasoning behind it?
You got the one.
What were your thoughts surrounding polyamory? Because I didn't catch it.
Yeah. So I feel like everybody's different. I think everybody said that. We all have urges, not just men, but women as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as much as I want to speak to what my views are, I want to take a step back and really talk about what the landscape is, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So beyond just the hypersexualized culture that we live in, beyond the fact that every song on the radio, all the movies, all these things kind of exacerbate a lot of our sexual urges and all that, right?
Yeah.
I think even deeper than that, especially for Black people, when you talk about mass incarceration, you talk about underemployment or unemployment, you talk about maybe homosexuality, which is I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just talking about squarely about the numbers in terms of the balance between eligible men and women who are heterosexual, and in that pool, I think when you start to really start tallying up all the ways in which this society is working, especially against Black people in general and Black men in specific, the numbers end up being like 3 to 1, like women to men. Eligible heterosexual women, 3 of them for every 1 heterosexual man.
Yeah.
Double that by the urge. So a lot of times men have urges. So when you calculate all of those things, a lot of men are stepping out on their women and wives already. So when you consider what that breeds infidelity, of course, that breeds STDs, that breeds hurt feelings on both sides, that breeds children growing up in one household with one, parent. Typically, the mother will get tired of the man cheating and bounce. So now you separate homes. Children aren't really able to be living with both parents. Incomes and wealth is split. We're already in a very, very dire situation from a financial perspective. So all of these things together, in my mind, even if someone were to say, hey, listen, that's not for me, at the end of the day, when you start really adding up all these numbers, the fact that people are already in infidelity already, either knowingly or unknowingly, I think at some point we have to be willing to at least put it on the table for discussion, not only in terms of just how you specifically as an individual want to live, but I think more collectively.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like financial,
No, I've heard
relationship type thing.
Yeah. I've heard people make the point about like the village mentality and how it like economically it can make sense. I've heard people make the argument. Now, ReZsaun Lewis is not making that argument.
We can all work together. Yeah.
ReZsaun Lewis is not making that argument. I just want to make sure Latoya Lewis watches this show religiously. So I am not making that argument. But I'm saying that I do understand those who make that argument, and because again, the point of this show is to have the discussion. We can't be like willing. We cannot shy away from these discussions that are being had and say, well, we're going to save that for the barbershop. Nah, there's a Black man that is watching this show that is going to get a different perspective just from hearing Troy say that. So thank you for having that perspective. It's not here for us to we don't have this for all of us to agree on everything. Right. So I love the fact that we disagree on this. I saw you, Mike. What you got?
I mean, like if
I got a question after Mike, please.
Yeah. Definitely with the love doctrine. But I mean, if you honestly could take emotion out of polyamory, it would probably work. Honestly, when I first got into the military, this was back in like '03, and I went to England. I was surprised at how many people I saw couple-wise that actually practiced it, right? And I actually, and this is both locally as far as British national and military, behind the backs of like their respective like squadrons and stuff. And it was, and when I found out more information about it, it was like how you just talked about, ReZsaun, from an economic standpoint, right? Like 3 is always going to be better than 2. From a financial standpoint, from a building standpoint, 3 is always better than 2. And like many people that I talked to were those that I said, well, there was a point in life where me and my wife, or me and my significant other, or me and my husband just eventually outgrew each other. And they said, well, the practice of polyamory, it was like there was always a rotating personality in the bunch that would bring something new to the equation at a time to which we may have been bored. There was always an idea, there was always an impact that could be had when it came, like I said, when it came to things we wanted to purchase, when it came to vacationing, that as long as we didn't get wrapped up in the anger that could come out of it due to the ties of emotion, that this was just fit for us. Now, like me personally, ReZsaun, you ain't the only one. Like I was barely alive, able to make it off of episode
the last
2.
one. Yeah, I remember.
My girl watches it religiously too. So it's not for me.
Yeah. So so no, that's a great point. Like that's a great point. Like just so I want to get to a point that a commenter made. Sharea, she said the only reason that men aren't good with the idea of polyamory is because you don't want her doing the same thing that you've been doing. Now I don't know how polyamory. I'm not a big. I don't study polyamory, so I can't give you like the breakdown of how polyamory works. But you can bring other guys into polyamory. Is that how that works?
Polyamory is the same thing, except it's not marriage. Polygamy is marriage,
we good.
And polyamory is just.
He said, "Nah, we good." No, I'm good, B.
We good.
Polyamory is just a practice of multiple partners, whether they're men or women. It wouldn't matter.
Oh, word. Yeah, no, that's all right. John, what about you, buddy?
The love doctor.
Well, thank y'all for the breakdown on the love doctor. Y'all killing me, man.
Don't get yourself in trouble,
I
brother.
appreciate the breakdown. In all honesty, no, I am good on this end.
Yeah,
Trust me.
We good.
I have a question.
Yeah, we good.
Yeah,
we good.
But
okay.
The question was, and I appreciate the breakdown between polygamy and polyamory.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to know, because my wife brought the point up, would men be as comfortable coming into a multiple partner relationship as much as we push it to women coming in the multiple partner relationship?
Agreed.
Like
great question.
2, 3 dudes or 1 woman.
No.
If
because you don't usually see that too often.
No.
If it was multiple men and 1 woman, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's usually not how it's pitched. It's usually pitched with multiple women, 1 man. And if that's the case, then I question the heart behind it. Like if it can't be equal in that regards, is it really a good thing? That's the question.
But there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you the reason for that. In a lot of cultures, a man is in a position where he can provide for more than 1 woman.
Okay.
And when you can have the same level of dedication to 1 woman as you can to 3 or 4 or 10, then you are in a position where you can feed them, clothe them, make sure that they have everything that they need. And the difference between like cheating and a polyamorous relationship is you are taking the responsibility of being honest with all of these women. And in this culture, a lot of men aren't willing to do that. So they go out and they cheat because they don't have the resources or the commitment to be able to be honest with all of these women and say, okay, I'm with all of you. All of you have your own houses. All of you have all of your own things. That is the responsibility of a man in a polyamorous relationship with multiple women. You have to do everything you would do as if she was the only one, just with multiple women. And a lot of men they're not willing to do all that.
No, and I agree totally. Troy, I see you. Go ahead.
Being that women sorry, ReZsaun, sorry.
Hold on, no, let Troy get in real quick. I see him.
Okay, so I would say that I'm coming at this not from a paternalistic way at all.
Yeah.
So in my mind, let's say, for instance, it would be me and three of the, women or partners, right? It wouldn't be me taking care of anybody. It will be us as a collective, us all going out there and making our own money, especially if you look at the numbers. I'm a number guy. So looking at the numbers right now, women are more educated by average than men are. They make more money on average than men do. So we are not in the same world that we were 20, 30, 40 years ago, where like the man has to quote unquote be the provider. In my scenario, again, I'm not doing it, but in my mind, in this scenario, it wouldn't be me taking care of 3 women. It would be us 4 taking care of the household by any means necessary, changing roles, chores, raising kids, teaching kids, making money, and bringing it back under one roof.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike. And then we're going to get out of this question, but go ahead.
Yeah, but that's the fine line that separates polyamory to polygamy, though. Because if you go, like, once again, in different countries where polygamy is actually not illegal, unlike here it is in the U.S., it is the man to which has 6 to 7 wives. Especially, heck, when I went to Qatar and Dubai, that was the norm.
Yeah,
it wasn't monogamy. It was
Yes.
polygamy all over the place.
Yes,
and it was because of the wealth that the man has, and
power.
he has that ability. Yeah, wealth and power. Yeah, most definitely. He has the ability and the resources to provide for the 6 to 7 to 8, 9 wives. So in those cultures, it is the norm for the man to provide for all of this while it being legalized and well known that he can do this.
Yeah, but I also want to make sure before we get out of this question, I want to make sure that we do. Troy, you made a very good point about the paternalism aspect behind this, and the fact that the man generally has all the power and the women have very little power. Especially except for, I know in countries that practice Islam on a high level, the wife gets to pick the other wife, she has approval power on the other wives. But when the man has all the power, he controls all the money, he controls all the resources. It's really difficult to understand. It's difficult to see it from a standpoint from where they're equals. Miss Rashida Mujahid, who watches every week. Thank you so much, Miss Rashida. Miss Rashida. She talks about equality, and she also practices Islam. So she does believe in the multiple wife situation. So Troy, if you trying to make that happen, you gotta call her on the line. Line 1. All right, so we're gonna get out of on the movies because we only have I'm gonna extend this segment by 5 minutes, so we're gonna push this one to 8:40, and then I'll get to the next topic because I want to get into this because we talked about cheating, we talked about polygamy, we talked about polyamory. Let's talk about current events. Will, Jada, August react? Go ahead, Andre.
Man, so many thoughts with that. First, I think August was out of line with the whole thing. I mean, we all kind of knew about Jada and Will and what their stuff like. This is nothing new to us. And who is this guy? He had an album coming out, and all of a sudden, I'm so hurt because Jada did this, that, third to me, and maybe she, like, bruh, why you spilling the tea? Like, okay, it is what it is. You engaged somebody who was married, and she went back to her husband. Your feelings are hurt, so the fuck what? Like, that's your fault, bro. You know what I mean? Like, if you met somebody who is still married and they go back to their significant other,
they go back to their spouse,
bruh. Like, I mean, okay, you were told you got played.
I disagree.
Charvis, go ahead.
So I feel bad for August because so initially when August came around, he came around for a different purpose, and in my opinion, Jada took advantage of that situation because he was broken. That's the
and
first
even sick.
part. The second part about it is, it looks like she was having a whole lot more fun with August than she was in her situation because that was broken. So when you look at that like that, Will was in the game for a minute. So Will was stopping a lot of his money. He was looking bad. And if y'all remember, he went dark for a second. I understand he had some health issues, but the his name was stink out here in these streets. So,
Will?
No, August.
August? August had one song, man.
Nah, man. He had
Chill out, man.
Name three August Alsina songs.
I've never heard it.
Name three August Alsina songs.
I'm not familiar with his catalog, so
name three.
No,
my point is, Jada took advantage of the situation because she had the upper hand in the situation because the person came to her for help and was introduced through her son at that. And
that's the nasty part. That's the under. Mike, go ahead. Mike, I'm not. Mike, go ahead.
No, I'm honestly agree. Like, I agree with what he said, man. Like, there are power couples in the black community.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Hov and Beyonce.
Yeah.
Will Smith and Jada are one of those power couples.
J. Cole rapped about them.
So she used him as like a toy. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was like a fun thing. So what he did when it's to say, like, if he was talking when he was interviewed, it's like, hold on, let's not get this twisted. What I'm going to say is facts. And I can see if he was slandering their name, but he said all truth.
Yeah.
Like, so I can't say like, oh man, like, what is he doing? First of all, if she didn't want this to happen, we all know they're swingers, man. They're swingers. That's how they get down. It just got spilled, right?
I actually disagree with that.
Yeah, me too.
I disagree with that, and I'm gonna tell you why I disagree with that.
Yeah, me too.
I want to say I disagree with that, and I was with the idea that they were swingers until I watched the video. When I watched the video, the face that Will Smith had was not the face of a man who knows he's in an open relationship.
It's the same face he made during The Pursuit of Happiness.
No, but it's different. Okay, cool, Mike. But okay,
see, that's what we're not talking about. We're not talking about Will.
No, but no. But that's the thing. We would be talking about if I am Jada Smith, my business is on Front Street. The first thing I'm going to say in this interview is, look, we in this together. He do what he do. I do what I do. I'm over here with this guy. He was over here with this girl. That's not what we saw. Did anybody see two people who were on the same page in that interview?
I'm gonna tell you this. This goes back to the fundamental difference between how men and women cheat. And I'm not saying any cheating at all is okay, because as somebody who's been married, I am legally not allowed to say that on this platform. But what I will say is,
you grown. You say what you want.
When men cheat, like it's probably some random, probably won't ever get that information back to their wife. She won't ever hear about it. When Jada chose to cheat, she chose to cheat with somebody who was in the house. Somebody Will have to see all the time. Like, that's intentional.
That's 3 songs that we can name.
But I mean, but somebody Will got to see all the time.
I love this shit. I love this. The
remix. Man.
You just Googled it. Go ahead, John.
He's a stranger.
Go ahead, John.
No, the only reason why we're trying to get that man a call out is because we can't honestly just own up to the fact that Jada played him like men play women all the time.
Yeah.
August Alsina is a grown man who makes his own decisions. Yep. Nobody put a gun to that man's head and told him to lay down with Jada. Yes, he was in the house. He saw the family dynamics. He knows them because he was the closest. Nobody forced him to go to bed with that woman. He made his own decision as a man. The only reason why we feel sympathetic is because we feel like, and which I'm proud of us as men, we feel like we got to stick up for each other when we get played.
Yeah.
Right? I get
we should. If Troy got played, I'd have his back.
Right? I'm glad we do that.
Never that.
But at the same time, we do this to women. I mean, on the if we talk about the numbers, we do this to women all the time.
Oh, facts. Oh, super facts.
No.
Maybe not us individually.
Women be out here doing it all the time too. Don't be giving women all this
credit.
About
men.
Right.
Women be doing it too.
Troy, go ahead. Troy, go ahead.
He's trying to get that steak dinner.
Here, I think that there's so many dynamics here. There's the fame dynamic. There's the fact they were split up. There's some mental health issues. If you guys, and I've actually listened and watched a lot of the Red Table things, even prior to this time, I've kind of been keeping up with it. And Jada is not healthy mentally either. If you know her history, her mother used to shoot up heroin for like 27 years. She was a sex addict. She may have gotten touched when she was little. You know, they grew up in Baltimore. I grew up in the crack epidemic, so I know Baltimore in the 80s was probably off the hook. So
I grew up in Baltimore, man.
So when we, kind of frame the situation, we can't necessarily frame it as her being of stable, sound mind and body, and then her preying on this young man. This person is a grown man. They both have issues. They were separated, and it just so happened that things didn't work out. I think that's basically as simple as it is.
Hold on, can I
go ahead, Charvis. Go ahead, Charvis.
So just follow me for a second. A lot of people give R. Kelly slack, right? Because they said that these young ladies are.
His name is Charvis. His name is Charvis Wood.
No,
Jarvis Wood.
Just hear me out.
We was on the same side.
Let him finish.
Just hear me out. A lot of people give him a lot of slack because they said that he was those women were underage.
Yes.
And that he willed his power over them. Right? Now, because this guy, August Alsina, was of legal age, we're acting like, and ReZsaun just highlighted that he was nobody, right? So we're
super nobody.
So we're not. So why are we not saying that Jada didn't will her power over this mentally disturbed guy that needed help?
Go ahead, Troy.
Yo,
go ahead, Troy.
R. Kelly was like locking and chaining little girls to like his studio wall. You know what I'm saying? Like
her parents were outside screaming.
Completely different.
R. Kelly's the extreme. R. Kelly's definitely the extreme.
You lost that.
But let's not act like Jada Pinkett wasn't 21 when August Alsina was born. Like, she is a whole predator in this situation.
What I will say about Jada is this, and we're gonna have to get we're gonna have to wrap because it's 8:39.
Yeah.
My problem with Jada in that Red Table Talk is if you're gonna do that, you have to be accountable to your actions.
Yeah.
Jada Smith was not accountable to her actions
at all.
She made it sound like cheating on her husband was building a house for Habitat for Humanities. She made it seem like she was doing some kind of charity work and cheating on her. Like, no. You don't get to tell me how it makes you feel so good to help somebody with their mental health. No, you were helping him with other things. Don't bring the mental health into that conversation. And that was my big issue. And we got to stop there. We could have done a whole segment just on that topic, and I knew we could have, but I got to get to my next topic, y'all. Go ahead, plug. Anybody got anything to plug?
Coming very soon.
Go ahead, Mike.
Better said than sorry. Just wrapped up LLC, so it's a brand now. Clothing line's gonna be coming out. Gonna be wrapping up the website.
Nice.
I'm still doing the activist thing, so yes, they're on the lookout for me.
Absolutely. Troy.
Yeah, Troy Veeg. I'm actually coming out with my first children's book. It's actually a metaphysics/dietary book for kids. I know it sounds weird, but it's going to be really, really cool. It's called Fuller. So hopefully it comes out January 2021. Look out for that.
All right. Charvis.
Be on the lookout for Boss Dogs. Follow us on social media, BOSSDOGZ, and the cookbook is coming soon.
Yeah. All right. John.
Yeah. Tune into the Love Life Legacy podcast every Sunday at 8:00. We talk about topics just like this with me and my wife. Just tune in, check it out. You won't be disappointed.
Absolutely. Maurice, bring us home.
GOBRadionetwork.com. That's where you can find all of our podcasts and more information on our videos. Podcasts dropping every day of the week. Videos dropping every day of the week on YouTube. GOBRadionetwork.com.
All right. Thank you, fellas. I really appreciate it. Please, next month, it's going to be August 22nd. Come bake. We need y'all. This was good, man. Y'all are dope. All right. Next panel coming in.
All right.
All right. So listen, I told y'all we was bringing it tonight, man. I told y'all the conversation was gonna be real. I told y'all we was gonna go in. I told y'all the panels. I told y'all we was gonna get heated. I told y'all we had somebody making an R. Kelly point. We had Charvis trying to argue for art. Anyway, I'm gonna call Charvis after this is over. We're gonna have to revisit that conversation because I can't breathe on that one. I can't breathe. All right, so we get into topic. We get into to top this panel number 3, sis. All right, okay, all right. So we got my sister Sharea is in the building. We got Sean Middleton in the building. We got Delano Cunningham, who is still connecting to the building. And Digger Jones. Digger Jones is in the building, baby. Please introduce yourself to the audience. Let's start with the ladies first. Sharea.
Hi, everybody. Like you said, I'm his sister, Sharea. So y'all take it easy. No, I'm just playing. I'm not.
No, y'all better take it easy. I will pull up.
Take it too easy. I'm not sensitive. Say what you say, mean what you mean. You know what I mean? The whole 9. I don't want to get into like a whole lot, but I'm here to give a female perspective on all of the stuff that y'all talking about.
All right. Go ahead, Sean.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sean Middleton, just a regular guy, contributing to my boy ReZsaun's podcast for the night. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Digger.
Daniel Laurie, aka Digger Jones, podcaster, father outreach coordinator for Father Organization, and I'm glad to be here.
All right. I see Erica. Erica, go out and come back in. I can't see you, love. Let me see. Let me try. Let me see if we can get Erica. She's having some difficulties. I see Drew. Drew, introduce yourself to the audience. Oh. Drew never's in a room with light.
What? Am I early? I thought I was on the next one.
No, you're in this panel. This is panel 3.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, I'm Andrew. I'm a coach. I own a studio, personal trainer, life coach. So yeah, that's me. Just and I read a lot, and I'm a writer. So there you go.
All right. And then Delano's having some connecting difficulties, and Erica is as well. Delano and Erica, please go out and come back in so we can see y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get rolling. We got some topics. We got another set of topics. Just to, reset. This is Toxic or Nah. This is the whole point of this is to have discussions that we have in these back rooms and we have in these silos that we do not bring to the larger community, and we don't have in a way that we can really expand, like really hear multiple perspectives. So I'm loving hearing everything I heard tonight. We've had some really good discussions so far, and of the groups, I probably know the people in this group more than any other group that has come on tonight. So this is gonna be fun. All right, so this is gonna be fun. So let's get right into it, man. Let's start out where I want to start out with. Let's start with Nick Cannon. All right, Delano, I see you, bro. I need you to go out and come back in though. I got Erica in. Erica's in here. Erica, can you hear us? Erica went out. All right, cool. Delano. All right, it's been an interesting night. All right, and Calvin is right there. I see Calvin. Calvin, go ahead and introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, everybody, how y'all doing? This is Calvin Logan Power Show.
Yeah.
Worldwide. Our website, www.loganpowershow.us. We making a difference. I'm excited. It's going to be very interesting.
Yes. So let's get right into it, right? So this topic is Nick Cannon, right?
Yeah.
Now, those of us who grew up, in us 80s babies, we know Nick Cannon as the guy from Drumline. And Nick Cannon found himself in a bit of hot water this week when he made some comments about on his podcast. I can't remember the name of his podcast, and they don't pay me to advertise it, so I'm not gonna learn it.
Cannon's Class.
Again, what I just say about they don't pay me to advertise? So I don't care about the name of his podcast. But he was on his podcast. You can check him out. Google him if you want to find out more. And he started talking about the Jewish people. As a person that talks a lot on camera, there's certain topics that I completely stay away from for several reasons. So to hear him go into that topic was very interesting for me to hear, and then for him to have the stances that he had was very interesting. I want to have a conversation about, one, is that a conversation that we can have on camera, and two, how do we feel about those comments? And I want to start with Calvin, because Calvin also has a show and he has to talk on camera a lot.
Oh.
You're on mute or something, bro.
I can't hear anything.
I can't hear Calvin. You muted,
Hey,
bro.
ReZsaun, before we start, can we recap on exactly what Nick said?
All right, word. All right, so
like, what did he say?
Now I gotta Google what he said. All right, hold 1 second. Let me Google what he said.
Long story
Oh, Digger, you got it?
Long story short, what he said was, black people now are the new Israelites and the new Hebrews, being shunned by the community, and everybody wants to be just like them. He said the Jews are taking over in the wrong kind of way, and this is now like a modern slavery.
All right, so I want to make sure I'm anytime I have a discussion about topics, I want to make sure that I hear somebody. Who's that talking?
All right.
Oh, that's Calvin. Yeah, hey, Calvin. Go ahead, Calvin.
Okay, 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Am I good?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
So the biggest thing that I would say for me is that if you're going to be a real talk show host or you have your own platform, you got to be able to be authentic and take those tough questions. The problem with Nick Cannon or any other talk show host is that you don't own you. That's the problem. So if you don't own you, you don't have that kind of platform. Now, if we go back in time, remember Howard Stern was considered to be raw and raunchy when it comes to actual radio broadcasts. But what happened was people he caught a voice and people pretty much they gravitated to him, and they do that. So I believe that if you're Nick Cannon, that's the actual stance you want to take. Then my thing about it is, don't turn your back when money comes involved, because that's what it's all about. It's the money. You got to figure out who owns the platform. And so Viacom took their stance, and pretty much Viacom is going to blackball you, and that's what they did. And Viacom owns VH1, BET, MTV, Nickelodeon, and what Nick Cannon was talking about, he talked about Jews. And he mentioned about black people being Jewish. Now, if you read the Bible, just biblically, a lot of people who are black are Jewish people. If you want to go back into it, biblically. And I believe that what he was talking about, he said black people like the Jewish people, because there's only two actual groups who have been under oppressed. And African Americans are one of them, over 400 plus years. But he took a tough stance on it, but he backed away from it. So I know that for him, if he's taking that kind of stance, stand to your ground for it. But that's up to y'all if you want to do it. I believe that take those tough questions, and that's what people want real stuff. But the problem with us is African Americans, we don't stand behind the people that take those hard stances, and that's just being the truth. What's going on?
So I want to ask a question, right? Because I think you're absolutely right. As somebody who hosts a show, as somebody who's involved in these conversations, you have to make sure that you do represent what your thoughts completely and as accurately as possible. And the problem comes when you state things as fact that aren't actually factual. And so with that being the case, I want to go to Sean, because I know that Sean has really been doing a lot of digging into this topic and talking about it. So Sean, what were your thoughts when you heard this?
When I heard it, I thought it was complete foolishness. I'm what you would call a Noahide. And what a Noahide is basically a person who believes in Judaism but hasn't converted over to Judaism. So I study not only the Holy Torah, but I also study the Chumash, which is basically Torah, which is explained by scholars going back 2,000 years plus. I also study Kabbalah, which is what you call the soul of Torah, which explains you call it Jewish mysticism, which is some stuff that you really don't scratch the surface of until you understand Torah. I also study Midrash, which explains the allegorical parts of Torah. So Judaism is a very deep subject that goes way beyond Bible. So if all you study is Bible, there's no way that you can understand Judaism, because if you really study Judaism, you know that the Bible is a work that is beyond the comprehension of man. The Bible is the most difficult work that you could ever attempt to read and understand. I literally spend 10 to 15 minutes a day in Torah, in the Bible, because I know it's beyond my comprehension as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And you really got to understand Kabbalah to understand that. But I will spend an hour or 2 hours in the Talmud, which explains what I just read in those 10 to 15 minutes in the Torah. Now, if you really study Torah, blacks are not the Jews, clearly. And the reason why I'm going to say that, in order for a person to be Christian or Jew, you have to accept the Bible for everything. If anything is wrong in the Bible by God's own words, if anything in this Bible is wrong and incorrect, I am wrong, and that means I am not God. I do not exist. So whatever's written in that book has to be either accepted 100% or God doesn't exist at all. And what God says in that book is that the father Abraham, who is the father of all Jews, is from a place called Ur-Kasdim. If you look at Ur-Kasdim, that is what you call modern day Iraq. At the time that Abraham was alive, that was under Persia. So we know what Persians look like. History tells us what Persians look like. Persians are clearly not black. So what you see a lot of pro-black people post, they'll post dark-skinned black people and say these are Semitic peoples. But when you look up those people are Ethiopian, they are Eritrean, they are Somalian, but they are on the wrong side of the waterway where the Israelites would exist. Now, are there black Jews? Yes. We know for a fact that the Limba people of East Africa and South Africa, that's the tribe of Judah. We know that. DNA proves it. They have they know the Talmud, they know the histories of Judaism, they know Jewish history. So we know that despite them being black, that those are authentic Jews. But you also have authentic Jews in India that we know are authentic Jews. What's that?
May I interject? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen you a lot, but what's your name?
I'm Sean, man. Sean Middleton.
All right, cool. I'm sorry, I just didn't remember your name. Hey, Sean, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Let me ask you a question, man. So my wife is around front right now watching a movie. Okay. God just told me to go around front and kill her because, he just really needs it like that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to kill my wife with a knife. I'm going to go and stab her and kill her. Yeah. Are you going to call the cops or something on me?
That's not the way God works. And that's the importance.
No, that's a direct question. I am literally about to go around front, take a knife and slit my wife's throat because God told me to do it because he just really needs that. Okay. And the point that I'm getting through, the point that I'm trying to make to you are you going to call the cops or not? Or are you gonna recognize me as the father of religion and stuff?
I am going to call the cops.
How
you're
do
gonna
I
call
know?
the cops, John?
Yes.
It's funny that you'll call the cops on me, but with Abraham, you'll call him the father of your religion.
Well, I don't call Abraham anything.
Here's the thing.
I'm not going to kill my wife, by the way.
There are 600.
Thank you.
There are 620 laws. Okay, there are 620 laws in Judaism that must be followed, and in some of those laws, the laws that will require a person to kill, because thou shalt not kill is not a commandment. Thou shalt not murder is the commandment. There are laws in place that tell you whether or not it is correct to kill a person or not. And actually, there are 613 commandments, but there are also 7 rabbinic laws. Jews at this time are not permitted to kill anybody. That is rabbinic. Jews are not permitted. Jews are not permitted
to be able to slaughter your child. Which law is that?
So
if God tells you, if God tells you to kill, first of all, a person must be recognized as a prophet. God isn't going to approach a man, even in Judaism. God isn't going to come to me because I'm not a prophet. I am not a student of Moses. I am not a certified prophet. I cannot tell anybody anything to do. God's not going to talk to me.
So
in order for a person,
all these prophets and nobody could see when coronavirus was coming.
So I want to pause. I want to pause real quick.
That's not the way it works.
I want to pause real
it's
quick.
Not. Also, this is the reason. This is the reason.
It's always you guys.
This is the reason.
Mute anyone else.
This is the reason.
I think you're mixing apples and oranges because
this
I
is
think
the
you mix a lot of
reason.
apples and oranges here.
And this is the part where I mute people.
Hold
Hold 1 second. I got you. This is the part where I mute people. I got you, sis. I got you, sis. So, Sean knows a lot about Judaism. Andrew is an atheist. I love them both. They're just not going to argue theology on my show because it's not a show in which we argue theology. But there is a comment section on the side that y'all can put each other's numbers in, and y'all can call each other and argue about it until the cows come home because I love you, and y'all know I love you. Now, with that being said, the question was about the comments that Nick Cannon made. What were your thoughts about the comments that Nick Cannon made? Were you taken aback by the fact that he would make the comments? Oh, I see tap. Were you taken aback by the fact that he would make the comments? Did it shock you? Do you understand believe or understand in Judaism? The comments in and of themselves. What did you think of the comments? Tap.
Can I finish my comment on the racism? Come on, man.
You got 30 seconds.
Can I do that because I got interjected? Okay.
30 seconds.
Here's my problem. We know for a fact, if you read the Bible, Abraham is Iraqi. All intents and purposes, he is Iraqi. Okay? 4 of his children are half Iraqi and half Egyptian. 2 of his grandchildren, Joseph's 2 children, are half Egyptian, half Iraqi. Now at Sinai, God forbids Jews because they become Jews at Sinai. God forbids Jews to marry outside the Jewish race. So from then on, the Egyptian lines are going to be pretty much eradicated within 2 or 3 generations.
5 seconds.
So we know for a fact that Jews are essentially Iraqi. They are not black. We are not.
What you're saying? Right. So what you're saying is that Jews are not black. So
we are not black. They are not us.
All right, cool.
We're West African. Because we have nothing to do with Jews.
Because the point that Nick was making was that black people are the original Hebrews. That's the point that Nick Cannon was making. All right. So you disagree with that point. Tap.
As a pro-black activist that is all black empowerment, from my studies of Judaism, I am West African and I have nothing to do with Judaism. If I were to become Jew, I would be a convert, and my family has nothing to do with Judaism. Period.
But Sean, you have a problem because Ethiopians are Jewish as well, and if you've been across the land like I have, your comments are really false. Because if you know anything about reading biblical terms, then how in the heck did this planet get started? Because it started in the heart of Africa. So I think you're missing a big point. I know you're going to Judaism. I understand you're talking about the religion, but go back. Our host, go ahead, ReZsaun.
Yeah,
next person.
I appreciate that. You know what? Forget Nick Cannon. We're not even going to stay on this topic. We're going to stay on this topic because we ain't getting nowhere on this one. And I want my sister to talk. Sharea. So we're talking. First of all, thank you for joining us, Sharea. First lady to join the show. Erica is trying to get in. She's having technical difficulties. Let's talk about family business, right? Let's talk about family business. This is not a theological discussion. Andrew, do not make this a theological discussion. Family business. Yes, Andrew. Yes, I'm talking to you. What is something in the black community, family business, that we tend to not address?
There's a lot. And
let's go. That's why we got the show.
We do not address.
She says a lot.
I mean, we don't want to address sexuality in the black community, and that's the reason why the LGBTQ community have taken the stance that they have. We don't want to address sexual trauma or childhood abuse or anything that's been passed down from one generation to a generation as to how we reprimand our children. Is also something that we do not deal with. We want to blame, of course, the government on the reason why there aren't any representations of black men in homes, and also something that we do not address as often as we should in our homes and in our communities. I mean, there's like Yo, this is so broad. Like,
yeah, I agree. Let's go to Tap. What do you think is the number one issue that the black family refuses to deal with and sort of holds us back?
Generational wealth.
Generational wealth. All right.
I didn't say that. Who said that?
Oh, sorry, Tap.
Anyway, all right. Generational wealth.
Remember, To Pimp a Butterfly came on, right? And Wesley Theory come on. The first words you hear are what? Every nigga is a star. Every nigga is a star. That is an issue. Everybody's not a star.
Okay.
Everybody's not. I'm sorry. Every nigga's not a star. We're oftentimes told, like, that when you're little kids, they tell you, you can do anything you put your mind to. That's not entirely true. Everybody don't have the mental capacity and aptitude to do everything they want to do at the level that they want to do it. And I think we should address that. I think we should applaud those who are in a position and have the aptitude and the capacity to do things that need to be done. But we need to celebrate those who do more for us as a whole instead of those who put on a good show. We should not be looking to entertainers and shit, you know what I mean, to speak for us when you got common folk, no offense to any of y'all, that can, like Sean, Ray, Buddy, like y'all speak for us often. Yeah, I was saying, yeah, but people take offense to that. They mistake, a lot of people mistake common for simple and shit. They get, basic, like words that actually do apply. They take their own definition to them, take offense to them, and I ain't in the mood to offend nobody because I ain't in the mood to slap nobody. So we would just speak like that. But we can't. We can't go anywhere, and we're not going to go anywhere because of that. Every nigga is a star. I don't care if it's from politics, entertainment, finances, in the hood, on the streets. Everybody want to be the man or the woman just cuz. You know what I'm saying? And until we address that, we ain't going nowhere. That's the biggest issue.
I love that. Digger.
I mean, where it stems from, I don't know, but you know what I mean? It's a lot.
I love that. Digger.
I think the biggest outspoken thing in the black family is mental health. And the reason why I say that is because, like, even growing up with me having my problems, I was always explaining to other people as, oh, well, he just doesn't think like us, or he's sick, or something to that nature. Like, mental health is a big taboo, especially in the black community. I mean, getting better now. But, growing up from the family that I was in, we had, were bipolar, who did flip out. And we were just told, hey, look, you stay away from XYZ and stay away from XYZ. When not knowing, if you just talk to this one person, you might be able to help that one person.
Right.
I'm not going to keep this too long, so, I'm going to go ahead and pass the baton right there.
I love that, Calvin. You were talking about generational wealth.
What I mean by generational wealth, the problem is that we got this mentality that we don't want to make it easier for the next generation that's behind us. And what I mean by that is, like, let's be honest, everyone here has a different points of opinion. And what we do is that if ReZsaun got a show, right, everybody say, well, I'll do my own show to compete against him. Nah, you want to let my brother do his thing, increase his following, help everybody else out, and then say, you know what? That's going to be our talk show person for our generation. Brother Andrew can say, like, he want to talk about things that's going to affect the people and he's really active on. Let him do that. Let Digger focus on what's going on in the outspoken. Let Miss Sharea, she focus on things with what's on our community. Maybe Sean, he talks about religion. My man here that I don't know yet, he wants to talk about Tap. He talks about things that's going on. And everyone has their own lane, but the lanes lead to all one enterprise. And the problem is we don't do that. And that's the reason why you see, I give an example. If Robert Johnson knew how powerful BET was, he wouldn't shortchange himself and sold it for $3 billion and would have kept that thing today. And it would have been almost 10 times, 20 times the amount. That's why Viacom laughed to the bank when they bought it for $3 billion, took MTV, took VH1, all these things. And now what are your black owned shows? You don't got a network like TV One? No. Okay, Oprah like does own stuff. Sometimes but it only address one gender. It doesn't address the male, it mostly addresses the females. And that's what OWN's designed for. So you don't have something people like, well, BET is black entertainment. No, It's
They're
called
owned by
White.
Viacom.
It's owned by Viacom.
Yeah.
Viacom showed how powerful they was. Nick Cannon got kicked off of VH1. He can't go to MTV. He can't go to BET. We own all of that. You gotta go to somewhere totally
You gotta go to Revolt.
opposite. You gotta vote. But Revolt is about, but Revolt doesn't get cable run. That's the thing.
Yeah,
We talk about streaming. But I'm talking about on the big.
Revolt is a cable channel. You got Spectrum for sure. I know it's a cable channel.
But I'm talking about. But I'm talking about all the networks.
Right.
If you say, but I'm saying, listen to me. If you got power, my black power. We had one that BET can be seen on DirecTV, Dish. You can get it all if you want to, and it got BET Plus. So we understand the power of us. You can start your own streaming service if you wanted to.
The thing was like real life. If Bob Johnson had the support that for BET that they got once Viacom took over, he wouldn't have sold it. If you understand the pressures around him and the backlash he got for doing all this black programming and dealing with people like it you would have, and it fucking ain't worth it.
But
that's why he sold out. He's like Oprah. He's a money man. So like he sold out of that. Remember he bought the Hornets, turned to the Bobcats. They wasn't winning. The pressure was too much. He sold out of that too. He's like, man, damn that, it ain't worth it. He's about his money. You can't.
Well, Bill Gates was about his money too, but he ain't sell Microsoft.
But I think you made a good point about Bob Johnson as far as being a flipper. But like,
it's time. It's called time. That's all it is.
I was more so upset with Bob Johnson when we lost BET because that meant we lost BET Uncut, and that was a very valuable TV show.
Like Black Jesus,
for the African American community. Andrew, what you got? Number one issue that the black family avoids and it hurts us. I know where you're going. Oh, I gotta unmute you. Sorry, Andrew.
He be laughing hard.
Go ahead.
All right. I think one of the number one issues that the black community that we struggle with is I'm not trying to turn it back, but we live a 21st century life with Bronze Age ideals.
Thanks.
And those two things can't match. Those two things don't mix. I mean, we're sitting here talking about whether we're the chosen people of some desert god, or whether we're this, or whether we're prophets, or whether we're magic people or whatever. And the reality of the situation is, ain't none of that's helping us get money. None of that. Like for I'm gonna give you an example. Let's say, and this is like to Sean, to our early conversation. Let's say right now, Sean, I believe everything that you was talking about. Let's say that we are legitimately the chosen people of God. That don't stop niggas from getting shot in the street. That ain't stopped 400 years of slavery. That how do we get back here? No. Just let him finish. Let him finish. That don't stop the generational wealth disparity, right?
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, what we have to do is we have to bring ourselves and our entire community into the 21st century. And we have to stop using things that they used 600, 700, 1,000 years ago. Just because something old doesn't make it grand or doesn't make it amazing. Just because something's ancient doesn't make it amazing, right?
How did we get back here?
I have no idea.
Hey, ReZsaun, please let him finish. ReZsaun, please let him finish. Please let him finish.
Oh, he said religion. Oh, okay.
Please let him finish. Question was, what plagues the black community?
I know that's your answer. Yeah.
One of the things that plagues the black community the most is we use Bronze Age ideals while trying to live in a 21st century. And I'm not saying everybody, but what I'm saying is a lot of us. I have a grandmother. My grandmother is one of the smartest people I know, but my grandma is still living as though she's in the 1920s here right now. You get what I'm saying?
Does she have a refrigerator?
Say that one more time.
Does she have a refrigerator?
Well, yeah, I'm talking
because that was invented in 1929.
I'm talking about
is there stove electric?
Right? If you no. For instance, let me ask you a question. If you're still, because I know this happens a lot in black communities.
I know what you're saying.
Oh, let's let's
He's saying
make
that
$1
old time
million.
religion ain't good enough
Well,
for
you
him.
can't make $1 million because money is the root of all evil. Man, make your money. You get
Make
what
your
I'm
money.
saying?
Do it.
Like, but a lot of us don't actually believe that stuff.
I believe
when
it,
we
man.
teach our children that, we see why our children are failing. We see why our children don't have as much. So that's where I'm coming from. I think that's one of the things we need to fix in our community.
Can I respond to you real quick?
Okay.
So, all right. So,
here you go.
Everything that you said is Christianity-based stuff. You understand?
Right.
Now, Jesus Christ says, turn the other cheek, right? In my Jewish texts, which are completely opposite of everything in Christianity, God tells me if somebody tries to harm me, meet them with this. And then he says, meet them with this. That's the Jewish God. The Jewish God says, kill the shit out of anything that tries to harm you. Okay? Also, when you talk about the prophets, you say make money, right? Hold on a second. Don't laugh yet.
Yo!
You say make money.
Hey, hold on. I got
so fast.
Yo,
Sean.
That's the Jewish God. The Jewish God. Shoot a motherfucker. That ain't Jesus.
Sean.
Let me finish. Moses, rich. God says, make your money. Moses was rich. Joshua, rich.
I feel
David,
so unsafe.
rich. Paul, rich. Anybody that followed God was rich. What did Jacob tell his nephew, Esau's son, when Esau told his son to kill him? He told his son.
I got
Hold on,
guidance
let me finish. Because I don't listen to him insult God. Let me finish. I'm gonna stay with what my God said. Jacob told his nephew, take all of my wealth, because if I am broke, I am already dead. Jacob said, Israel himself said out his own mouth, if I am.
No mercy.
All right, I love y'all.
Hold on.
I love y'all so much.
Hold on. I think I got it. All right. Sean.
Fam, we gotta stop having this theological conversation.
Real quick. Sean. I don't think he's insulting God at all. I heard what he's saying, and there's a spiritual or old song my granny used to say all the time. And my granny used to say, give me that old time religion. That's good enough for me. And I think what he's saying is we can't live by those principles in that old time religion. I think that's what he's saying. He's not saying he's insulting God, right?
Thank you.
I think what he's saying is we can't worship God the same way the slaves did or pass on those morals and continue to thrive in our society. I think that's the point.
To be fair,
I agree with that.
I agree with him. I wasn't insulting God.
I agree with you.
I was saying that, but also I don't actually think God exists. So
yes, he's
we
an
don't need a religion. We need to focus on getting money.
Yes,
I agree.
He's an atheist.
I agree with you. I agree with you completely on what you say. I do not believe in God the way that my grandparents believe in God. I think Jesus was a punk. But all I'm saying is that the Jewish God is not the same God that you're thinking of. Anyway, I'm gonna go back on top of those.
Calvin, I'm sorry,
damaging
Calvin.
the black family.
This would never happen on the Logan Power show.
We don't get none of this.
This would never happen on the Logan Power show.
You ain't never get Joe Rogan numbers talking like this, man.
Hold up. Let me mute everybody. I love y'all.
People look offended. Look at Dick. Look at Rick.
Tap. Hold on one second. Tap. I love you. Hey, hold on. Listen, guys. Listen, man. Hold on. Tap. All right, let's get our bearings because this show will end at 9:30. I'm gonna give Sean and Andrew each other's phone numbers, and they can call and talk to one another about that. We gonna let them get that, right? First of all, I think that this is a really great discussion because I don't think that black people have this discussion enough. And I'm saying this in all sincerity. We don't talk about our religious differences from a standpoint of how can I find understanding with people that I disagree with. I think that's something we have to get better at doing. And when our religious disagreements devolve into screaming matches, nobody can hear each other and nobody can learn from one another's standpoint. I believe that Sean and Andrew agree on much more than we would understand. But again, we have to learn, how do we have this conversation in a meaningful way? If we want to, if we actually want to move forward as a people, if we want to get this money that Andrew's talking about, I can't get this money and everybody who disagrees with my religious viewpoints, I'm like, nah, I can't, I'm going to insult you. I can't get money with people that I'm insulting. I don't know how y'all do business, but I can't do it. I can't call you all kind of names and then say, hey, bro, let's start a business. Let's build. Nah, I can't do that. Right? So we have to find a way to have this discussion in a meaningful way. Now, with that being said, we're going to roll off this discussion because, like the Nick Cannon discussion, we didn't really get a whole lot out of it. I want to talk about mental health. We will not bring up religion in mental health. We are not. If you bring up mental health, I am removing you from this discussion forever and always, and I'm not inviting you back. Okay? Mental health. All right? Mental health. Sharea, how do you feel about one? How are you taking care? How are you protecting your mental health? Let's ask that question.
For one, I appreciate the fact that you even brought the topic up. This topic is taboo in most of our households. African American communities, households do not believe in seeking professional help when it comes to the things that we struggle with on a mental, and an emotional standpoint.
Yeah.
I am an advocate for mental health counseling if it's necessary. I'm an advocate for medication if that's necessary as well. I think a lot of the stuff that we deal with probably is somewhat you suffering in a mental or an emotional capacity, but you don't have a title for it, or you don't have, a diagnosis for it. You haven't sought help for it. And so we just attribute certain things to, oh, that's just the way that they act, not realizing that they could very well be something, that they struggle with, or something that is biological that's been passed down from one generation to the next. We are no longer in a space where we can discard someone's terrible behavior as that's just the way that they are, without having to at least question why they are the way that we are. We deal too much with the symptoms of issues and never the root of an issue. Somebody going to a school saying that, oh, I'm ready to blow it up. That's more than, oh, somebody bullied them because they had on light up shoes the day before. They struggling with some shit mentally.
Yeah. Agreed.
Now,
Agreed.
if it was a black kid that did it, we just automatically gonna say that, oh, he's a thug. The white kid automatically is, well, he may be suffering from depression or whatever the case may be. So there's something that we need to start looking into in our homes and seeking help for, you know what I mean, for ourselves, for our spouses and our children or whatever, because and as much as, I'm not bringing religion in it because I don't want them to get started, because I'm probably going to tune out if we do.
I will block them.
However, we've been dancing over, shouting over, praying over, oiling ourselves down for shit that's been mental and emotionally struggling with for the longest time, and it has not done us well as a people.
Thank you for sharing that. That was good. Digger, you haven't said a whole lot, man. And I know that mental health is something. First of all, I want to ask this question before I get to you, Digger. How many of you have felt depressed? All right, cool. How many of us have therapists? How many of us go to counseling? All right, cool. Digger, what are your thoughts on mental health?
It depends. Like, that's like almost a broad spectrum to ask that question. What are your thoughts on mental health?
Okay, how do you protect your mental health?
Okay, I am somebody who suffers from bipolar depression. A lot of people don't know that. That's not something that I go out in conversations and say, hey, Mr. Powers, I suffer from bipolar depression. It's just something that, I've learned not to speak about unless I'm fully comfortable. And this is me breaking down my comfort level, talking about bipolar depression. What I used to do is I would listen to music, just put in headphones and so on and tune it out. But the problem with that was after I got done listening to that CD, listening to the song, listening to whatever, the problems were waiting for me when the headphones came off. So as I got older, I started learning to get more outlets, learning to talk to people about it, looking for people who have the same core problems that I have. We work off of each other. You have this phrase, iron sharpens iron, correct? So I can help somebody who isn't on their A game at this moment. And while I'm at top, I can help you get to the same plane where I am just by simple conversation because we're both going through it. Now, as I did say, I did raise my hand. I do have a therapist. I do talk to people about this now because I'm at the point where I'm comfortable talking about it. Like I said, if this was me 10 years ago, ReZsaun, you knew me 10 years ago. Would I even talk about this? Would I even have this discussion? The answer is no. But as I got older and as my children started suffering from the same things that I did, that gave me more inclination to help them as well as help others.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. Tap. No, hold on, wait. Let's go to Calvin because Calvin, you haven't been able to say something in a long time, and I want to appreciate. I want to pause real quick to just thank Calvin. You know, as a professional that he is, you know, wading through this water with me. So Calvin, what are you doing to protect your mental health, my brother?
Mental health, you have to acknowledge like the problems that you have. Like when my mother passed away when I was 19, I found my mother died in my arms. So that took a toll on me. You know, I felt at the time I felt like killing myself. But what got me through it was talking it out, praying through. I've seen family members die in my arms. I've seen things in my life, but I know you have to talk about it. That's the problem. A lot of times what we don't talk about certain things, and to address our kids' situation, you know what happens is that when it comes to a lot of African American Latino kids, it's not addressed like, hey, that kid may be going through something. And because what happens in the educational system, you got to figure out who's the teacher, who's the principal, who's the vice principal, who's the nurse, who's the kid. Like when we say a kid is ADHD, all right, well, I know attention high deficit order. Okay, well, how are you teaching this kid in the classroom if this kid is on 12? Then you got to ask yourself, okay, some of the kids that I've taught, you get this kid this high medication that puts him like a doggone, like a slug or something. That medication's too high. How that kid gonna focus?
Yeah.
How can they mentally focus? But otherwise, you're gonna drug them half to death, and they wonder why the kid is in a higher level is because they're not mentally focused. Like we can say all day long, you can read the Bible biblically, but the Bible says faith without works is dead. So it requires you as a person to acknowledge, like, hey, I got an issue, but it help those by having that safe space. We don't have a lot of safe space because you know why? We don't create it. Like Brother Andrew said, he's an atheist. Well, I'm a believer. Well, we can have our discussion, but at least we can say, okay, if you see a kid's going through a problem, I say, Brother Andrew, I got a kid going through something right now. Hey, brother, can you tell him about your story? Or Brother Sean, he's different type of religion. So, hey, Brother Sean, this kid going through something. Can you tell him about your life? Brother Dig, vice versa, Brother Tap, Brother ReZsaun, can you tell this kid's going through something? We're not talking about religion here. Prayer is one thing, but you got to be able to get into that person's space. I've literally seen kids flip out off of little small things, but it started back way long time ago. Like you may have had an aunt that was crazy off the rails because she had mental depression, or she may have got raped at an early age, or an uncle who could have. It's a time by period, but we talk about a person's bipolar. Okay, where did it happen? Did it start from an uncle from 10 years ago? Was it my grandmother, my grandfather? Okay, let's talk about what led to that area. Like Brother Dick said, he can be honest and talk about it. That way your kids can say, if I see the same things coming, I know my dad went through it, so he taught me these things to get through it. But the problem we do is we over-medicate our kids.
Yeah.
That's the problem. We over-medicate. I have seen literally African-American kids over-medicated because the doctor feels this kid got to be on this type of medicine. And you like, that kid ain't going to function. And that's the problem that we have. It's a mentality, and that's the reason why we have to open up what's really going on in our neighborhoods. That's why the drug game is never. I've never seen the drug dealer say during a pandemic or during a crisis they out of supplies or they losing money. They always winning money. You know why? When people are depressed, they go to they go to drugs. They do other things. So, like I said, let's be honest. There's a problem in our society. The United States has issues, but I know in African Americans, we don't address these things, and that's why you have high domestic violence rate. You got a lot of things going on we ain't talking about. We ain't talking about rape, molestation. I guarantee there's a lot of people that are molested that will never tell you unless you dig deep or you wonder why this girl is flipping out. Listen, bro, you gotta find that dig deep. You gotta ask some hard questions. But the problem we don't do is we don't talk about it.
I wanna chime in right there, because when we were talking earlier about the issue that black families don't talk about enough, I think sexual abuse is one that is like so taboo within the African American community. And if we have white brothers and sisters or Hispanic brothers and sisters who, you know, are watching and say that's our problem too, I'm not one of y'all, so I don't really know what y'all problems are. I'm talking with the black community, black family right now. We have even from the time of slavery been conditioned in a interesting way to where things that happen have been normalized that should not be normal.
That's right.
And that leads to a lot of the mental health stuff. I mean, we've been taught, this show is called Toxic or Nah. Toxic masculinity. The idea of certain things that we are told as men we're just not supposed to do. That impacts our mental health. The fact that that it's not cool for me to call my brother Tap and cry on his shoulder. Like, there's some people, if I told, man, Tap, I have cried in this man's shoulder. This man has cried on my shoulder as big as Tap is. Tap has cried on my shoulder because that's my brother, right?
Real life.
Like that's my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but to some people, you tell some black people that, and they're like, nah, y'all some punks, ain't y'all? No, we're relieving stress that we have to, because if we don't, we may go out and murder people.
Real life.
We may go out and murder ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that when we talk about mental health, especially when you talk about these kids in school, the stuff that they're dealing with, your brain being exposed to chemicals at that age, the brain is not fully formed until you're 25 years old. So the earlier you are that you're introducing chemicals to your body, your brain gets used to that chemical being there. It does something to you. This is not something ReZsaun is saying. There's a reason that when you hit 25 years old, magically your driver's insurance goes down, because your brain is fully formed. It's research says that the brain is fully formed at 25 years old. So that's like all of this goes into it. But when we're talking about mental health, and I want to get to Sean and Andrew because I want them to get to say things and not argue with each other. But I think that this discussion is one that has to be had on a much larger scale. Sean, how are you protecting your mental health, bro?
Honestly, and don't kick me off, but I'm gonna tell you, Torah study.
Okay, right.
Okay. And
but hold on, wait. He's not saying that you're wrong, Andrew. He's just saying that that's his mechanism. Go ahead.
And I would tell you the most horrific experience of my life is one room over from where I'm sitting right now. I watched my older brother die from being overly medicated.
Yeah,
I understand. I literally watched him pass away, and it had me messed up. He died in 2015. I will say in the last year, I've gotten to a point to where I can cope with it because I watched it happen. You understand? Yeah. So
I'm sorry to hear that, man. For real.
It's
for sure.
Appreciate that, man. It's a life-changing event. So I went through the alcoholism. The night he died is the first night that I had drank beer in about 2 years. And I passed out after drinking an entire case of beer. And I drank cases of beer every day along with liquor. And at the time I'm running for political office. So I'm door knocking, talking to people trying to get elected. And I'm just a functional drunk at that point because he died 45 days before election. So I took 2 weeks off and really campaigned for 15 days. So basically, my brother was autistic and I was responsible for taking care of him financially and all that stuff like that. I lost the motivation for everything. Before that, I had import and export businesses, trucking companies, all types of stuff going on. Lost everything because I didn't have a motive. My motive was, as my brother got older, I had to be able to pay for his upkeep, you know? And if something happened to me, I needed to have money in a trust or something set aside in order to support him. So when he died, so did my motivations. So I didn't need to grind as hard anymore because Sean is a simple dude. I can live off hamburger and A1 sauce and some water. Me personally, you know, I don't have big needs. I don't have extravagant needs. So
a lot of A1 sauce.
Yeah, that's a lot of A1 sauce.
You know what I'm saying? So one thing that I learned is that the problem that we have mentally is ego and arrogance. You understand? One thing about it is we don't control the world. Whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever, something higher than you controls everything beyond your abilities.
Somebody get blocked.
So when you when you realize this and you take a step back and you realize that the world don't revolve around you, I had to really think about it. I was like, you know, it wasn't my place to decide my brother's life or my brother's death. That's my selfishness, wanting that person around on my terms.
On your terms, yeah.
On my terms. So I had to realize that I view myself as too damn important. I need to take it down a couple of notches. And when I really started looking at things from that perspective and realized that, man, I'm less than a speck in the whole universe, in the nature, in the whole organization of things. And when I realized that and set my ego down a little bit, life got better and life got easier.
Yeah, I love that.
That's how I deal with my mental health.
I love that.
Realizing basically, and I'm just gonna say this because this is where I talk. Realizing I ain't shit. That's it. That's all to it.
Everybody is somebody. Nobody.
Well, I mean,
we're
somebody, but in the grand scheme of things, compared to the sun, what am I? Nothing.
No.
Compared to the moon, what am I?
Sun's
Nothing.
Huge.
Compared to the universe, what am I? Nothing. So who am I to be sad over what nature decides to take away from me? It's nature.
I'm with that. Andrew.
I agree.
That's what you got, Andrew? How are you?
What?
I didn't know it was my turn.
Oh yeah, Andrew. How are you protecting your mental health? This is an important question. How are you protecting your mental health?
Oh yeah, all right, great. So one of the things that I do to protect my mental health, or just save myself. Now I know you guys don't really know me, but me and ReZsaun, that's my guy. We've had a lot of talks about my past. I had a terrible past. I grew up very, very poor. I grew up in really, really rough neighborhoods. Life just wasn't good, and I have a lot of rage because of that. A lot of anger, a lot of like real bad hostility. And one of the key things that I've learned to use is, and anybody who knows me knows that I talk about this woman day and night. My wife is literally my help. You know what I'm saying? I was on a path to ruining my life because I would get angry and I would lash out at people. I would get angry and I would curse people out, fight people, do whatever. You know what I'm saying? And, when I got with my wife, yeah, my life was kind of on an uptick, but she helped take it to another level because when I started getting angry, when I started getting upset or something small would hurt me, instead of just lashing out and going and doing something wild, which is what I would normally do, I would talk to her. Yeah. And there's a real funny quote, or a real great quote that I read once. It said, somebody once asked Erykah Badu, why did Common and why did Andre 3000, why did their music change so much whenever after they dated her? And, the answer is Erykah Badu looked at that person and said, I listened to them, right? The scope of my life has
and
changed
other things.
I had somebody in my corner who listened to me and who really said, look, I understand you're going through this. I maybe can't sympathize because I didn't go through it, but I can empathize and I can kind of steer you in the right direction.
Yeah.
And so for me, over the past few years, the level of rage that I've had towards my past has gone down, and it's reached a level of understanding. It's reached a level of peace. And I can honestly say that at this point in my life, I live in such a world. You can ask ReZsaun, like when things come in to mess my peace, it doesn't even touch me because I'm so just like, nope. Like, because I had that person, my wife, who was able to kind of stand in the gap for me and say, I'm here. I'm willing to listen, whatever you talk, go ahead, let it out. So for me, that was my saving grace, man. My wife, you know, she was that person. So
I love that.
It may not work for everybody, but it worked for me.
No, I love that.
Works here.
I love that. I love that. It is. Yeah, I love that. It is now 9:37, so I'm going to go ahead and start the wrap. But I want to say this. The way I deal with my mental health, right? Because this is so important for us to talk about, man. Like, I know each of y'all in different facets of life. I know each of y'all in different facets of life, and y'all all know me from different facets of life. But one thing that I try to be in all shape, forms, and fashions of my life is transparent. That's one thing that allows me to maintain my mental health. I go out my way to not be anybody but who I am. That frees me up from a lot of stuff. I tell my kids all the time, you got to remember lies. The truth is just the truth. The truth is just the truth. 10 times out of 10, the truth is the truth. And because I don't carry that with me, it helps me protect my mental health. I see the positive in life. I try to find the good in every situation, even when it's the worst situation. I try to find the positives in situations. I've seen people go through some terrible things. I've seen people on this call go through some terrible things. And even in those things, I try to find the positive in it. I have some of my closest friends because I watched them go through terrible things. And instead of sitting back in judgment and saying, I feel bad for them, I found the positive in it. And we were able to come through it together as friends and as brothers. My brothers helped me protect my mental health. Knowing I can call any of you on the phone and you will listen, sometimes without even a response, just so I'll feel heard. That goes miles. That helps me protect my mental health. My faith. Yes, my faith definitely helps me with my mental health. And if you don't have God, as long as you got something, good for you. God works for me. And that's not to have a theological discussion, but y'all know how I feel about God. Again, I'm transparent. No matter where I'm at, that's what I got. I can only give people what I got. And my purpose. My purpose protects my mental health. Because there's nothing that I am willing to do on this earth for money, for fame, for any other thing that takes me outside of my purpose. If it's not within my purpose, I won't do it. There are certain ways I can conduct this show. There are certain ways I can approach doing this show that would get me more viewers, yeah. But would it be within my purpose? Would it be representative of the man that I want to be to my children? Would it be representative of the man that I want my wife to know represents her and is the head of her household? Those are the things that keep me. Everybody who's watching, I hope that even in our most reckless moments, you got something special out of these conversations, because these men and the ladies that were on this call tonight bared their souls. And that's difficult. That's not an easy thing to do. So I want to thank everybody for taking the part to be here. I want to make sure I give y'all an opportunity to give closing thoughts in a minute or less. In a minute or less. A minute or less. I'm gonna set a timer. All right, we're gonna start with Andrew. Go.
My closing thoughts. My closing thoughts. I mean, I think this is a necessary thing. No matter how reckless it gets, no matter how loud it gets, I think we're having conversations that need to be had in our communities. You know what I'm saying? It's very rare that you get people who are the holy rollers
and the atheist together to sit here and talk and hash it out and really have a discussion. You know, I mean, I would love to talk to Sean. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to be this man friend. You know what I'm saying?
You should.
I'd love to be present for that.
The reality of the situation is we are opening up the channels for our community to really come together and really talk about the problems and the issues that affect our community. Yeah. And as somebody that's totally in love with our community, I mean, I gotta applaud it. You know what I'm saying? So my closed thoughts are: this is amazing. As long as you'll have me as a speaker, I'll definitely keep coming back on.
You already know.
And this is awesome. And Sean,
yes,
we're gonna
thank
get
you.
for coffee, and we gonna talk.
We gonna all get together for coffee, so I can be there to make sure that I with the mute button. I got you, Sean. Go ahead.
I think that it's very important. You know, going back to the Nick Cannon situation, one of the first things that I was taught in school, I was a journalism and mass communications major, and the first day of journalism class, my teacher, who worked for Fox News, said, "Don't believe anything that you see on the news. Don't believe anything you hear on the news." And then he taught us about puffery, which is a way that the news can lie without lying. It's a gray area. So when we're looking at Nick Cannon, a lot of our people look to claim things without really researching it. So my whole thing is, you know, don't look at a Nick Cannon or the news or anything like that and take things at face value. Use it as a starting point in order for you to do the research to find out what the facts are. You know, that's my whole thing. Find out the facts, then argue. That's me. Closing thoughts.
All right.
Hey, but Andrew, we need to talk, man. We need to talk.
Y'all should. Y'all got a lot in common, man. Believe it or not,
I'll put my number in the comments. Not in the comments, but in the background.
I love that.
All right.
Let's go to Tap.
Closing thoughts?
Yeah.
Conversation is necessary in a real way. The conversations must be had, and whatever the platform it is, it needs to be had in a peaceful way. I appreciate the experience. I appreciate the opportunity. You already know. You call me, I'm there. Ain't even no issue. We need high to the tree high in a real way.
All right.
Andrew, you really gonna sit down and talk with Sean? I would love to be there for that shit. I think it's really dope that Digga, with all his issues, every time I see him outside of work, he still look like an album cover. He real consistent about that. You know what I mean? Charles, I don't know you, bruh, but you know what I mean? If I did, I'd give you a little bit of hell too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all taking the time out of y'all day to support my folks, man. That's real love.
That's real love.
That's all I got, man. Baldy, you know what it is, man.
You already know, bro. Every day. Every day. Let's go with Digga.
First things first, I thank you for having me. I thank the gentleman in the panel. It's always a great discussion. It would not be me if I didn't do a shameless self-promotion about
Please do, sir.
So for those who don't know about Father to Father, we help fathers engage or re-engage in the life of their children. If a guy is underemployed, we help him find a better job. If he's unemployed, we help him find a job in general. Anything dealing with the legal system, whether it be child support order modification, mediation, or anything to that nature, we handle to the gentleman for free. It would not be me. I would not be doing outreach if I wasn't doing this right now, but the short and end of it is always learn something. Remember, a learning man is a man who's alive. If you can't learn anymore, you're a dead man.
I love that. Logan.
Hey, Daniel, is that program? Mr. Jenkins involved with that? William Jenkins?
Yeah, he was. He retired back in 17.
Okay, yeah, he the dude that taught me Black empowerment. So yeah. William Jenkins created me.
Time's up.
Oh my God,
Calvin.
There you go, boy. You need to replay every time Sean had that shotgun and went to West Coast and put the gun there. That's
Is that the one to bring the views in?
That right there.
That's what it brings the views in. Calvin, man.
Man. All right. Well, anyways, real talk. My name is Calvin Logan, the Logan Power Show. My website is www.theloganpowershow.us. Like ReZsaun, I'm a talk show host. I also get involved in the community. I don't toot my horn. I get involved with education as well. I'm looking forward to get involved in the education system this fall, becoming a teacher. I'm looking to make a difference. This is a platform we need to have. A lot of people don't want to be honest, but we got to support one another. If it's subscribing, it's sharing, it's being honest with each other. For me, I'm a praying man. I believe in Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, but I also want to help out others too and have an open conversation. That's why Brother Andrew, I can always talk to him because he's talking about generational wealth. We're on the same page there. Brother Sean, we can talk about generational wealth. Brother Daniel, Brother Delano, like we always talk about bringing together and having that positive conversation, because the thing about what people don't understand is that when you work together, like to be honest with you, if we were talking about empowering one another, then Nick Cannon would have never got taken off the air if we owned our network. If we're talking about empowerment, then we will support Miss Jade Simmons, who's running for president of the United States, and we wouldn't be going for Joe Biden, who does have no clue. I mean, that's just my personal take, y'all. That's just my personal take. I'm just letting you know.
I'm gonna let you cook because it's close.
I'm being honest with y'all, because right now the problem is you're missing the big picture. It's about governors. Man, we got senators on the docket, city council, county council, mayors. Y'all better wake up. You know, if this is what I say, if you want to make a difference in your education, you feel education is bad, become a teacher. Sign up. I'm signing up. If you hate what's going on in law enforcement, become a police officer. If you hate what's coming in politics, run yourself. If you don't like if you don't like what's going on in business, start your own thing with your own community. Stop waiting for somebody else. Yeah. It only takes just one or two of you working together to make a difference. It's really simple. We're having a panel, and it may be 30 or 40 or 500 people listening to us now. But I promise you this: if you keep bringing back positivity, toxic or not gonna blow up. Because my thing about it is, you can never say one thing that ReZsaun Lewis got bought. That's the whole point. You can never say he's a sellout. That's the whole difference. See, sellouts are worried about, well, man, I got to be careful what I say. Man, I'm going to be honest with you. If African Americans were to strap their bootstraps up and be really serious, boy, we would change this nation right now. You don't need, you can start your own party if you really wanted to be honest to God true. So I'm telling you right now, figure out who's on the docket. Look up their website. Some of these people are jellybacks. I'm telling you right now, I don't care what anybody say, but a lot of these folks are jellybacks and they talk two sides of their mouth. Yeah. So follow my man ReZsaun Lewis. Basically, ReZsaun Lewis, the Real Talk with ReZsaun. Follow what's going on. My name is Calvin, the Logan Power Show. It's all about empowering one another. Like these brothers, the ladies that was on here, they blessed us. Miss Erica Cokley, I know she's running for Board of Education. Miss Sharea Washington, she's doing a lot of things in the community. Look her up. Every people came before. Follow these people. Listen, it's not about me, it's about everyone here. I'm telling you, all these people that you're watching, they're making a difference. So tonight, let's just encourage, because I tell you, the media's job is to break us up and divide us. What Mr. Delano is doing is holding his baby girl. That's what they do not want to see, is an African-American father taking his rightful stand where he's supposed to be. And that's why I'm telling you right now, Black Lives Matter is a slogan, and it ain't real talk. So go fix that website right now, because some of these people ain't really about Black Lives Matter. Okay. But anyway, that's it.
Hey.
I'll catch y'all later. Be well.
So thank y'all for joining us. If you watched this week, thank you so much, man. This has been a great opportunity. What you got to say, baby? Jewel, what you got to say?
Hello. So she going through it. Hey, say hi.
Hey, Jewel. That's my niece.
Say hi. Say Uncle John.
Hey, pretty girl. Hi, pretty girl.
Hey. What you say hi?
Hey. All right, now I'm gonna put you on mute because I love you. All right. So in closing, I want to thank everybody who took the time to watch tonight, man. Transparency is so important. We have to be unafraid to live our truths. We have to be unafraid to live our truths. I'm beginning to understand more and more daily the power of my voice. And it's not because of a following. It's because I'm me. There's certain things that were put explicitly inside of me that makes me special. And every single person, I know everybody is not a star. No, but everybody has something that makes them special. Everybody has a skill or a talent that separates you from other people. It's like fingerprints. The other day, Wednesday, I had Patrick Patterson on my show, and he gave me a quote that I love so much. He said, "There's no traffic in your lane. There is no traffic in your lane." There are so many. Every day, somebody messages me and says, they're starting a podcast or they're starting a show, and I think that's great because I don't see them as competition. Calvin is my brother. I see Calvin as somebody that I can uplift, and if we get there together, if I get there before him, I'm pulling him up. If he get there before I get there, he pulling me up. I know that because we built relationships. We built relationships. We got to stop seeing our brothers as competition. We got to stop seeing people who look like us as a part of our problem to be solved. Black people are not a problem to be solved. And if we have a problem that needs to be solved, we can solve them. We have the ability, we have the capacity.
I think he's frozen.
Okay, hopefully y'all can still hear me. No, I'm good. Can y'all hear me? I'm good.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right.
I hear you now.
I want to end with this thought. Every single person that was on this feed tonight, whether you watched, whether you participated, whether you're listening to the podcast, I love you. From the bottom of my heart, I love you. Because if I don't tell you, how can I expect you to know? Protect your health, protect yourself, get a therapist if you don't have one. If you don't have a therapist, at least have a really strong prayer life. But even if you have a strong prayer life, get a therapist, protect your mental health. If you need to take medicine to keep yourself balanced, go for it. Whatever you got to do to stay here, do it. We're losing too many good people to senseless violence, to a lack of protecting themselves and their mental health. So with that being said, I love y'all. Y'all have a great night. And I'm going to close with my music at. Thank y'all, man. Thank you. This show is over. Toxic or nah. We did that. Y'all. Listen, this was a nuts show tonight. Shout out to panel 3. Panel 3 was insane. But man, those guys and ladies, they really gave y'all everything that they had. So thank y'all for taking part in it. Of course, every Wednesday night is Real Talk with ReZsaun Local Celebrity Spotlight. Next week's guest is District 117 Representative Crystal Matthews. Please join us as we talk about her current campaign and what she's doing to, get reelected. She's an amazing lady. Her first interview was actually on Real Talk with ReZsaun, which is crazy. But I love her. I support her. She's my sister. And I'm just so encouraged by the things that she's doing and the causes that she fights for, because like Calvin said, she is also one who's unbought and unbossed. So shout out to her. If you like the show, give me a like, hit the like button. I don't normally tell people to do that, but do it because it's nice. And leave reviews and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I don't have nearly enough YouTube subscribers. So do that. I'm not going to go through my whole spiel. I'm just going to end here. God is everything. 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 And without him, we are nothing. So never forget where your help comes from. And if a man doesn't stand for something, he's bound to fall for anything. Now that is real talk. I will see y'all on Wednesday night. Peace.